The azure skies of Novaterra shimmered with an alien beauty, casting an ethereal glow over the bustling human settlement of Hope's Landing. Nestled between towering purple mountains and a vast, shimmering ocean, the colony stood as a testament to humanity's indomitable spirit and insatiable curiosity. Commander Zara Voss stood atop the colony's central tower, her keen eyes surveying the landscape she'd sworn to protect. The wind tousled her silver-streaked black hair as she watched colonists scurry about their daily routines, each contributing to the delicate ecosystem that kept their frontier home alive. "Another day in paradise, eh, Commander?" The gruff voice of Chief Engineer Dmitri Volkov broke through her reverie. His weathered face crinkled with a smile as he joined her at the observation deck. Zara nodded, a wry smile playing on her lips. "Paradise with a bite, Dmitri. The atmospheric storms are picking up again. We'll need to reinforce the eastern shield generators." As if on cue, a distant rumble echoed across the horizon. The colonists below barely flinched. Having grown accustomed to Novaterra's temperamental weather, it was just one of the many challenges they faced daily. "I'll get my team on it right away," Dmitri replied, his cybernetic arm whirring softly as he made a note on his holopad. "Any word from Earth about those new terraforming units?" Zara's expression darkened. "Communications have been spotty lately. Something's interfering with our long-range signals. Dr. Amelia Chen is working on boosting our array, but—" She trailed off, her gaze fixed on the distant stars barely visible in the daytime sky. Dmitri followed her gaze, understanding the unspoken concern. They were alone out here, the furthest human outpost in known space. Help, if needed, was light years away. Below them, the colony's hydroponic gardens sprawled out in a vibrant patchwork of greens and purples. Kai Tanaka, the colony's master botanist, moved between the rows with practiced ease, his hands gently tending to the alien earth hybrid plants that provided both food and oxygen for the settlement. In the medical center, Dr. Lyra Mbeki pored over data from the latest round of colonist health checks. The unique radiation from Novaterra's twin suns posed ongoing challenges, but she was determined to find a way for humans to thrive long-term on this alien world. As the day progressed, the colony hummed with activity. Children laughed in the education pod, their lessons a mix of Earth history and Novaterran survival skills. In the research labs, scientists worked tirelessly to unravel the planet's mysteries, each discovery bringing them closer to true symbiosis with their new home. But beneath the industrious exterior, an undercurrent of tension ran through Hope's Landing. Supply ships were overdue. Strange readings had been detected at the edge of the solar system, and in the quiet moments between shifts, colonists found themselves gazing up at the stars, wondering what secrets or dangers lurked in the vast, unexplored reaches of space surrounding their fragile outpost. As night fell and Novaterra's 3 moons rose in the sky, Commander Zara Voss made her final rounds. She nodded to the night shift workers, checked in with the ever-vigilant security team led by the stoic Marcus Blackwood, and finally retired to her quarters. Sitting at her desk, she began her nightly log entry. Day 1825 on Novaterra. The colony continues to thrive against all odds. But I can't shake this feeling. Something's coming. And I fear we may not be prepared for what awaits us in the darkness between the stars. Little did Zara know, her instincts were about to be proven terrifyingly correct. For at that very moment, beyond the reach of their sensors, a fleet of ships was emerging from hyperspace ships that belonged to no human fleet, their intentions far from peaceful. The frontier colony of Hope's Landing was about to face its greatest challenge yet. As the first rays of Novaterra's twin suns peeked over the horizon, Commander Zara Voss found herself once again at the colony's command center. The holographic display before her flickered to life, showing a detailed schematic of Hope's Landing and its surrounding defenses. "Status report, area," Zara commanded, addressing the colony's AI system. A melodious voice responded, "All systems nominal, Commander. Atmospheric shields at 98% efficiency. Orbital defense grid online. Ground-based plasma cannons in standby mode." Zara nodded, her eyes tracing the familiar contours of the defense grid. The colony's protective measures were impressive, a testament to humanity's paranoia and ingenuity. A network of satellites formed a watchful eye around the planet, while hidden bunkers housed state-of-the-art weaponry capable of repelling most known threats. Yet, as she studied the readouts, Zara couldn't help but feel a twinge of unease. It had been years since these systems had seen any real action. Drills and simulations could only prepare them so much. "Area, when was the last time we ran a full-scale defense drill?" Zara asked, already suspecting the answer. "The last comprehensive drill was conducted 732 days ago, Commander," Area replied promptly. Zara sighed, running a hand through her hair. Over 2 years. She made a mental note to schedule another one soon, though she knew she'd face resistance. The colony had grown comfortable, complacent even, in the face of Novaterra's more immediate, natural challenges. As if on cue, Marcus Blackwood, the head of security, entered the command center. His usually alert posture seemed relaxed, almost casual. "Morning, Commander. Anything exciting on the docket today?" Zara turned to face him, her expression serious. "Marcus, I'm thinking it's time we ran another full defense drill. It's been too long." Marcus's eyebrows shot up in surprise. "A full drill? Come on, Zara. We've got enough on our plates with the atmospheric storms and resource management. The defense systems are automated anyway. Why stress everyone out?" "Because we need to be prepared," Zara insisted, frustration edging into her voice. "We're out here alone, Marcus. If something were to happen—" "But nothing has happened," Marcus interrupted gently. "Not in the 5 years we've been here. The only blips on our radar have been passing comets and the occasional solar flare. Maybe it's time we focused our energy on expanding the colony instead of preparing for phantom threats." Zara opened her mouth to argue further, but was cut off by a priority alert from Area. "Commander, incoming transmission from Earth. It's Admiral Chen." Exchanging a glance with Marcus, Zara straightened her uniform. "Put it through, Area." The holographic display shifted, revealing the stern face of Admiral Ling Chen, Zara's superior and the overseer of humanity's extrasolar colonies. "Commander Voss, I hope I'm not interrupting anything important." "Not at all, Admiral. What can we do for you?" Admiral Chen's expression remained impassive. "I'm contacting all frontier colonies with an update. We've lost contact with Outpost Sigma in the Proxima system. Your colony is now the furthest human settlement we're in communication with." A chill ran down Zara's spine. Outpost Sigma had been their closest neighbor, though still light years away. "Lost contact? Do we know what happened?" "Negative, Commander. A recon mission is being prepared, but it will take months to reach Proxima. In the meantime, I'm ordering all frontier colonies to go to Alert Status Yellow. Review your defense protocols and report any unusual activity immediately." "Understood, Admiral. We'll begin preparations right away," Zara responded, shooting a pointed look at Marcus. As the transmission ended, an uneasy silence fell over the command center. Marcus's earlier nonchalance had evaporated, replaced by a grim determination. "I'll assemble the security team and begin running diagnostics on all defense systems," he said, moving towards the exit. Zara nodded, turning back to the holographic display. "Area, initiate Alert Status Yellow, and schedule a colony-wide briefing for 1400 hours. As the AI acknowledged her commands, Zara couldn't shake the feeling that their years of peace were coming to an end. The complacency that had settled over Hope's Landing was about to be shattered, and she could only hope they were ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. Little did they know, the true test of their preparedness was already en route, silently gliding through the void of space towards their unsuspecting colony. As the colony adjusted to Alert Status Yellow, life in Hope's Landing continued with an undercurrent of tension. Days passed without incident, and slowly, the initial unease began to fade. By the end of the week, many colonists had convinced themselves that the heightened alert was merely a precaution, nothing to be truly concerned about. It was during a routine sensor sweep that the first anomaly appeared. Ensign Lena Reeves, a young officer manning the night shift in the command center, noticed an unusual blip on the long-range scanners. "Area, can you identify the object at coordinates 227 Mark IV?" Lena asked, her brow furrowed in concentration. Unable to identify, Ensign Reeves. The object's signature does not match any known celestial bodies or spacecraft in our database, Area responded. Lena hesitated, her finger hovering over the comm button to alert Commander Voss. After a moment's deliberation, she decided against it. False alarms had become somewhat common since the alert status was raised, and she didn't want to be the boy who cried wolf. "Area, log the anomaly and continue monitoring. Alert me if there's any change," Lena instructed, leaning back in her chair. Over the next few days, similar anomalies appeared and disappeared on the edge of their sensor range. Each time, they were logged and subsequently dismissed as sensor ghost or space debris. During a routine meeting, Dr. Amelia Chen, the colony's chief scientist, brought up the issue. "I've been looking at the sensor logs, and there's something odd going on at the edge of our system," she said, pulling up a holographic chart. Commander Voss leaned forward, her interest piqued. "What kind of oddities, Amelia?" "Intermittent readings, objects appearing and disappearing. It could be nothing, but—" Dr. Chen trailed off, her usual confidence wavering. Marcus Blackwood, who had been half listening while reviewing security reports, chimed in. "Probably just sensor echoes. We've been pushing our equipment pretty hard lately with all these extra scans." Zara frowned, not entirely convinced. "Dmitri, what do you think? Could our sensors be malfunctioning?" The chief engineer scratched his beard thoughtfully. "It's possible, Commander. The ionic storms last month did a number on some of our more delicate equipment. I'll run a full diagnostic, but I wouldn't lose sleep over it." Zara nodded, though a nagging doubt lingered. "All right, keep me posted. In the meantime, let's focus on the upcoming supply run. We need to make sure." As the meeting continued, the potential threat was pushed to the background, overshadowed by more immediate concerns. That night, as most of the colony slept, the long-range sensors picked up something new. A massive energy spike, unlike anything they'd seen before, flared at the edge of the system. In the command center, Ensign Reeves' eyes widened as she watched the readings. This was no sensor ghost. "Area, wake the commander, now." But even as the AI acknowledged the command, the energy signature vanished as quickly as it had appeared, leaving behind only a faint residual trace. By the time Commander Voss arrived, bleary-eyed and hastily dressed, there was little to see. Lena struggled to explain what she'd witnessed, her words sounding hollow and uncertain in the face of the now clear sensor readings. Zara listened patiently, but even she found it hard to justify raising the alarm based on such fleeting evidence. "Keep monitoring the situation, Ensign. If you see anything like that again, alert me immediately. But for now, let's not jump to conclusions." As Zara returned to her quarters, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were missing something crucial. But without hard evidence, she was reluctant to further stress the already on-edge colony. Unbeknownst to the residents of Hope's Landing, their dismissal of these early warning signs would soon prove to be a costly mistake. For beyond their sensor range, a fleet of alien ships was advancing, using advanced cloaking technology to mask their approach. The pirates had found their prey, and they were closing in for the kill. The colony's complacency was about to be shattered, and the price would be higher than anyone could have imagined. The early morning calm of Hope's Landing shattered at precisely 11:17 n. What began as a typical day, with settlers going about their routines under clear skies, transformed into a nightmare of chaos and destruction. The first sign of trouble came with the flickering lights and an unusual low hum emanating from the defense systems. Engineers, who had been performing routine maintenance, exchanged worried glances as their equipment began to malfunction. Before anyone could investigate further, the sky erupted in a terrifying display of alien technology. Several pirate ships, previously cloaked and undetectable, suddenly materialized above the colony. Their sudden appearance sent shockwaves of confusion and disbelief through the populace. The attackers wasted no time, launching a coordinated assault on the shield generators while simultaneously deploying boarding parties to key structures. Alarms blared across the settlement as explosions rocked the ground. Fireballs erupted near the vital hydroponics bay, sending plumes of smoke into the once clear sky. Colonists who moments ago had been trading in the market or discussing scientific findings now scrambled for safety, their screams mixing with the cacophony of destruction. In the command center, Commander Zara Voss fought to process the situation as adrenaline coursed through her veins. She barked orders to gather the security team and attempted to re-establish communications, which had gone offline in the initial attack. Realizing the dire nature of their situation, she began rallying colonists for evacuation. Meanwhile, at the security post, Marcus Blackwood's training kicked in as he grabbed his weapon and shouted orders. He led a desperate attempt to organize defenses and rescue trapped colonists, eventually finding himself holding the line against pirates at the main entrance. The colony's defenses, caught unprepared, struggled to respond effectively. The shields were quickly breached, and the energy feedback destabilized the power grid. The automated defense cannons managed to fire, but with limited success. By the time the dust settled from the initial assault, 2 cannons lay destroyed, while 3 pirate ships remained operational. In the hydroponics bay, Dr. Amelia Chen's initial panic at seeing her life's work threatened gave way to a steely determination. She organized evacuations, ensuring everyone was accounted for, her scientific mind already calculating the long-term impact of this attack on the colony's sustainability. As the assault continued, the true extent of the damage became apparent. The hydroponics bay and research laboratory, both crucial to the colony's survival, had sustained significant damage. Communications remained offline, and power fluctuations added to the chaos. Initial casualty reports were grim, with at least 2 dead and 5 injured, but many more were likely missing or unaccounted for in the mayhem. The colonists' reactions varied wildly. Some fled in terror, while others fought back with whatever weapons they could find. Many sought shelter, desperately trying to contact the command center for guidance. As the alien pirates pressed their advantage, the reality of the situation became clear. Hope's Landing, the proud frontier colony that had thrived against Novaterra's challenges for years, now faced its greatest threat. The complacency that had set in during years of peace had left them vulnerable, and now they were paying the price. Commander Zara Voss, watching the destruction unfold around her, realized with a sinking heart that their dismissal of the early warning signs had led to this moment. As she rallied her people to fight back against the overwhelming assault, one thought burned in her mind. They had to find a way to turn the tables on these alien pirates, or Hope's Landing would become nothing more than a cautionary tale in humanity's quest for the stars. As the alien pirates pressed their attack, the colonists of Hope's Landing rallied to mount a desperate defense. Commander Zara Voss, her face streaked with soot and determination, coordinated their efforts from a makeshift command post in the colony's underground bunker. "Dmitri, get those backup generators online. We need power to the remaining defense systems," Zara shouted over the din of battle. The chief engineer nodded grimly, his cybernetic arm sparking as he worked feverishly to restore power. Above ground, Marcus Blackwood led a ragtag group of security personnel and volunteers in a fierce firefight near the colony's main gate. They had managed to repel the initial wave of boarders, but the alien's superior weaponry was taking its toll. "Hold the line," Marcus roared, his voice hoarse from shouting orders. "We can't let them breach the inner perimeter." Dr. Lyra Mbeki had transformed the medical center into a field hospital, treating a steady stream of wounded colonists. Her hands moved with practiced efficiency, but the worry in her eyes betrayed the gravity of their situation. In the research lab, Dr. Amelia Chen and a group of scientists worked frantically to salvage what data and equipment they could. "We can't let them get their hands on our research," Amelia insisted, initiating emergency data purges even as explosions rocked the building. Despite their valiant efforts, the colonists found themselves slowly but surely pushed back. The aliens' advanced technology and ruthless tactics proved overwhelming. One by one, key structures fell. The communications array, their lifeline to Earth, was reduced to a twisted mass of metal and circuitry. Kai Tanaka, witnessing its destruction from his position in the hydroponics bay, felt a wave of despair wash over him. They were truly alone now. The eastern residential sector, home to nearly a third of the colony's population, was engulfed in flames. Families who had built lives on this alien world now fled with nothing but the clothes on their backs, guided to safety by Ensign Lena Reeves and her team of volunteers. As the battle raged on, Commander Voss made the difficult decision to abandon the main settlement. "We can't hold them off indefinitely," she announced to her gathered officers, her voice heavy with regret. "We need to evacuate to the emergency shelters in the mountains." The order to retreat was given, and the colonists began a harrowing journey through secret tunnels and treacherous mountain paths. Marcus Blackwood and his remaining security forces provided cover, buying precious time with their lives. In a last act of defiance, Dmitri Volkov rigged the colony's power core to overload. "Let's see how they like this parting gift," he muttered, setting the timer before sprinting to join the evacuation. As the last group of colonists disappeared into the mountain passages, a massive explosion rocked the valley. The main settlement of Hope's Landing, humanity's proud outpost on Novaterra, was engulfed in a blinding flash of light and energy. From their vantage point high in the mountains, the survivors watched in stunned silence as their home was reduced to rubble. The alien ships, caught off guard by the unexpected detonation, reeled in the aftermath. Commander Zara Voss surveyed the destruction, her heart heavy but her resolve unbroken. "This isn't over," she declared to the weary colonists gathered around her. "We've lost the battle, but not the war. Hope's Landing may have fallen, but its spirit lives on in each of us." As night fell on Novaterra, the colonists huddled in their mountain refuge, tending to their wounded and mourning their losses. But even in their darkest hour, a spark of determination remained. They had survived the fall of their settlement, but the true test of their resilience was yet to come. The alien pirates, temporarily set back by the colonists' last-ditch effort, regrouped in the valley below. The next phase of this interstellar conflict was about to begin, and the fate of Hope's Landing and perhaps humanity's future in the stars hung in the balance. As the alien pirates pressed their attack, the colonists of Hope's Landing rallied to mount a desperate defense. Commander Zara Voss, her face streaked with soot and determination, coordinated their efforts from a makeshift command post in the colony's underground bunker. "Dmitri, get those backup generators online. We need power to the remaining defense systems," Zara shouted over the din of battle. The chief engineer nodded grimly, his cybernetic arms sparking as he worked feverishly to restore power. Above ground, Marcus Blackwood led a ragtag group of security personnel and volunteers in a fierce firefight near the colony's main gate. They had managed to repel the initial wave of boarders, but the alien's superior weaponry was taking its toll. "Hold the line," Marcus roared, his voice hoarse from shouting orders. "We can't let them breach the inner perimeter." Dr. Lyra Mbeki had transformed the medical center into a field hospital, treating a steady stream of wounded colonists. Her hands moved with practiced efficiency, but the worry in her eyes betrayed the gravity of their situation. In the research lab, Dr. Amelia Chen and a group of scientists worked frantically to salvage what data and equipment they could. "We can't let them get their hands on our research," Amelia insisted, initiating emergency data purges even as explosions rocked the building. Despite their valiant efforts, the colonists found themselves slowly but surely pushed back. The aliens' advanced technology and ruthless tactics proved overwhelming. One by one, key structures fell. The communications array, their lifeline to Earth, was reduced to a twisted mass of metal and circuitry. Kai Tanaka, witnessing its destruction from his position in the hydroponics bay, felt a wave of despair wash over him. They were truly alone now. The eastern residential sector, home to nearly a third of the colony's population, was engulfed in flames. Families who had built lives on this alien world now fled with nothing but the clothes on their backs, guided to safety by Ensign Lena Reeves and her team of volunteers. As the battle raged on, Commander Voss made the difficult decision to abandon the main settlement. "We can't hold them off indefinitely," she announced to her gathered officers, her voice heavy with regret. "We need to evacuate to the emergency shelters in the mountains." The order to retreat was given, and the colonists began a harrowing journey through secret tunnels and treacherous mountain paths. Marcus Blackwood and his remaining security forces provided cover, buying precious time with their lives. In a last act of defiance, Dmitri Volkov rigged the colony's power core to overload. "Let's see how they like this parting gift," he muttered, setting the timer before sprinting to join the evacuation. As the last group of colonists disappeared into the mountain passages, a massive explosion rocked the valley. The main settlement of Hope's Landing, humanity's proud outpost on Novaterra, was engulfed in a blinding flash of light and energy. From their vantage point high in the mountains, the survivors watched in stunned silence as their home was reduced to rubble. The alien ships, caught off guard by the unexpected detonation, reeled in the aftermath. Commander Zara Voss surveyed the destruction, her heart heavy but her resolve unbroken. "This isn't over," she declared to the weary colonists gathered around her. "We've lost the battle, but not the war. Hope's Landing may have fallen, but its spirit lives on in each of us." As night fell on Novaterra, the colonists huddled in their mountain refuge, tending to their wounded and mourning their losses. But even in their darkest hour, a spark of determination remained. They had survived the fall of their settlement, but the true test of their resilience was yet to come. The alien pirates, temporarily set back by the colonists' last-ditch effort, regrouped in the valley below. The next phase of this interstellar conflict was about to begin, and the fate of Hope's Landing, and perhaps humanity's future in the stars, hung in the balance. The thunderous impacts against Haven's reinforced walls reverberated through the bunker, a grim reminder of the alien threat looming just outside. Commander Zara Voss stood at the center of the command room, her silver-streaked hair disheveled, but her eyes blazing with determination. "Dmitri, what's our status?" she barked, her gaze fixed on the flickering holographic display of the bunker's defenses. The chief engineer's fingers danced across the control panel, his cybernetic arm whirring with each movement. "Shields are holding at 82%, Commander, but they're throwing everything they've got at us. I don't know how long we can last." Marcus Blackwood, his face streaked with grime and sweat, checked the charge on his weapon for the 100th time. "We need a plan, Zara. We can't just sit here and wait for them to break through." Dr. Amelia Chen looked up from her datapad, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and excitement. "I might have something. The data we salvaged from the colony. I think I've found a weakness in their technology." All eyes turned to the scientist as she pulled up a complex diagram on the main screen. "Their ships use a quantum-entangled power source. It's incredibly efficient, but if we can disrupt the entanglement, we could disable their entire fleet," Zara finished, a glimmer of hope sparking in her eyes. Dr. Lyra Mbeki, who had been tending to the wounded in a makeshift infirmary, joined the group. "That's all well and good, but how do we get close enough to their ships to do anything? We're trapped in here." A heavy silence fell over the room, broken only by the continued assault on their shelter. Then, Dmitri's eyes lit up with a dangerous gleam. "The maintenance tunnels," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "What maintenance tunnels?" Marcus asked, his brow furrowed in confusion. Dmitri grinned, despite the dire situation. "The ones I never told anyone about. They lead all the way back to the colony, and beyond." Zara's mind raced with the possibilities. "Dmitri, you're a genius. We can use those tunnels to sneak past their forces and get to their ships." As the group began to formulate a plan, another explosion rocked the bunker, more violent than before. Alarms blared as Aria's calm voice cut through the chaos. "Warning, shield integrity at 64% and falling. Breach imminent in approximately 47 minutes." Zara's expression hardened. "We're out of time. Here's what we're going to do. Dmitri, you and Amelia will lead a team through the tunnels to disable the alien ships. Marcus, you're with me. We'll create a diversion to draw their attention away from the tunnels." "And what about the rest of the colonists?" Lyra asked, concern etched on her face. "We'll need everyone," Zara replied grimly. "Those who can fight will help with the diversion. The rest will prepare for evacuation through the tunnels when we succeed." As the team dispersed to prepare for their desperate mission, Zara found herself alone for a moment. She closed her eyes, the weight of command heavy on her shoulders. The fate of not just Hope's Landing, but potentially all of humanity's extrasolar colonies, rested on the success of their plan. Opening her eyes, she saw her reflection in a darkened screen, tired, battered, but unbroken. "We will reclaim our home," she whispered to herself, a solemn vow in the face of overwhelming odds. In the corridors of Haven, colonists prepared for battle, their faces a mix of fear and resolve. Engineers worked feverishly to reinforce defenses, while others gathered what weapons and supplies they could. Through it all, the relentless assault of the alien pirates continued, a constant reminder of the ticking clock. As Zara made her final preparations, checking her weapon and donning a battered set of armor, Marcus approached her. "Commander," he said, his voice low, "I just want you to know, it's been an honor serving with you." Zara met his gaze, seeing her own determination reflected in his eyes. "The honor's been mine, Marcus. But save the goodbyes. We're not done yet." With a nod, they turned towards the bunker's main door. Beyond it lay a gauntlet of alien invaders, advanced technology, and near impossible odds. But it was a gauntlet they had to run for Hope's Landing, for Earth, for the future of humanity among the stars. As the massive door began to open, Zara took a deep breath, steadying herself for the battle to come. "For Hope's Landing," she said, her voice carrying to every colonist prepared to fight. "For Hope's Landing," came the resounding reply, a battle cry of defiance in the face of alien aggression. The door opened fully, revealing the chaos outside. With a fierce war cry, Zara led the charge, the fate of their colony, and perhaps all of humanity hanging in the balance. As the human colonists prepared their desperate counterattack in the hidden bunker, the alien pirates reveled in their apparent victory above ground. The once pristine settlement of Hope's Landing now lay in ruins, its structures either smoldering or repurposed to serve the invaders' needs. In what used to be the colony's central plaza, now a makeshift command center for the pirates, the alien leader, Krasthal, surveyed his conquest with smug satisfaction. His iridescent scales shimmered in the light of Novaterra's twin suns as he addressed his jubilant crew. "Brothers and sisters of the Void Marauders," Krasthal's voice boomed, translated by advanced tech for the benefit of the various species among his ranks. "Today, we have struck a blow against the expanding human menace." Cheers erupted from the assembled pirates, a cacophony of alien voices and sounds. Krasthal raised a clawed appendage for silence before continuing. "These soft-skinned mammals thought they could claim the stars for themselves. They believed their primitive technology could protect them." He gestured to the destruction around them. "Let this be a lesson to all who would stand in our way." As the celebration continued, groups of aliens began to explore the colony more thoroughly. In the research labs, pirate scientists marveled at the human innovations, dismissing them as quaint but potentially useful. Others ransacked the hydroponics bay, amused by the earth plants struggling to survive in alien soil. "Look at this, Vexker," one pirate called to another, holding up a family holo photo found in a damaged residential unit. "They bring their young to these frontier worlds. How foolish and sentimental." Vexker, a towering insectoid, chittered in amusement. "Weak. No wonder they fell so easily. I expected more of a challenge from a species that spread so far." Back in the plaza, Krasthal was outlining plans for the colony's future. "We'll strip this world of its resources, then move on to the next human settlement. They'll never see us coming." However, as the aliens celebrated, they failed to notice several crucial details. They didn't spot the hidden entrance to the maintenance tunnels, cleverly disguised as part of the natural rock formation. They overlooked the subtle signs of organized evacuation, assuming the humans had fled in panic rather than executed a planned retreat. Most critically, they underestimated the resolve burning in the hearts of the survivors. The pirates saw the fall of Hope's Landing as the end of the story, not realizing it was merely the beginning of a new chapter. As night fell on Novaterra, the alien victory celebration reached its peak. Intoxicating alien beverages flowed freely, and the pirates' guard began to lower. They felt secure in their dominance, certain that they had broken the human spirit along with their colony. In their arrogance, they never considered that deep below their feet, in hidden bunkers and secret tunnels, the humans were far from defeated. They couldn't have imagined the fierce determination in Commander Zara Voss's eyes as she led her people in a daring counterattack. The aliens' underestimation of human resilience would prove to be their gravest mistake. For while they celebrated their easy victory, the true battle for Hope's Landing was about to begin. As Krasthul raised a toast to future conquests, he remained blissfully unaware of the storm gathering beneath his feet, a storm of human defiance that would soon break upon his unsuspecting forces with all the fury of a species fighting for survival. As the team regrouped in Haven's command center, Dr. Amelia Chen wasted no time in analyzing the data they had retrieved. Her fingers flew across the holographic interface, decrypting and sorting through the alien information. The others gathered around, their faces a mix of anticipation and concern. "This is incredible," Amelia breathed, her eyes wide with a mixture of scientific awe and trepidation. "Their technology is far beyond anything we've encountered before." Commander Zara Voss leaned in, her brow furrowed. "What exactly are we dealing with, Doctor?" Amelia pulled up a detailed schematic of the alien ships. "They're using what they call cloaking frigates. These vessels are equipped with advanced cloaking systems, plasma cannons with a range of 150 kilometers, and energy shields that can regenerate at an astonishing rate." Marcus Blackwood whistled low. "No wonder they caught us off guard. How are we supposed to fight something we can't even see?" "There might be a way," Amelia replied, her voice tinged with excitement. "Their cloaking technology seems to have a vulnerability to energy drain. If we can get within 100 kilometers, we might be able to expose them." Zara nodded, her mind already formulating strategies. "What about their ground forces?" "They call them biomech warriors," Amelia continued. "Cybernetically enhanced beings with adaptive camouflage and regenerative armor. But they're not invincible. Our data suggests they're vulnerable to EMP pulses and have a limited respawn time." As the team digested this information, Ensign Lena Reeves spoke up. "Commander, I've managed to decrypt some of their communication logs. You need to see this." A new hologram flickered to life, displaying a transcript of alien messages. As they read, the true nature of their adversary became clear. "They call themselves the Void Marauders," Zara said, her voice tight with anger. "They're not just pirates. This is a full-scale invasion force." Dmitri Volkov, who had been silent until now, stepped forward. "But why? Why target our colony specifically?" Amelia pulled up another set of data. "It's not just about us. Look at their objectives: dominate the Novaterra sector, control key trade routes, subjugate human settlements. We're just the first step in a much larger plan." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. They weren't just fighting for their colony anymore. They were fighting for the future of human expansion in space. "There's more," Lena added, her voice somber. "Their motives go beyond simple conquest. They're seeking revenge against interstellar factions that oppressed them in the past. They see humanity's expansion as a threat." Zara's expression hardened. "So we're caught in the crossfire of an ancient grudge, but we won't go down without a fight." As the team continued to analyze the data, a clearer picture of their enemy emerged. The Void Marauders were a formidable force, driven by a complex mix of resource acquisition, territorial expansion, and a deep-seated desire for vengeance. "We need to get this information back to Earth," Zara declared. "If the Marauders succeed here, they'll move on to other human colonies. We have to stop them." The discovery of the aliens' advanced technology and their true motives had changed the game. What had started as a desperate fight for survival had now become a crucial stand against an interstellar threat. As the survivors of Hope's Landing began to formulate their counterattack, they knew the odds were stacked against them. But with their newfound knowledge and the fierce determination burning in their hearts, they were ready to face the challenge head-on. The battle for Hope's Landing was no longer just about reclaiming their home. It had become a fight for the future of humanity among the stars. As the survivors of Hope's Landing pored over the data they had gathered, a spark of inspiration struck Dr. Amelia Chen. Her eyes lit up with a mixture of scientific curiosity and fierce determination. "Commander," she said, turning to Zara, "I think I have an idea. Our terraforming equipment, we can weaponize it." The others gathered around as Amelia pulled up schematics of their remaining terraforming devices on the holographic display. She outlined a daring plan to turn their life-giving tools into formidable weapons against the alien invaders. "The atmospheric converter," Amelia began, pointing to the large device on the screen. "We can modify it to disperse incapacitating gas instead of oxygen. And its weather control capabilities, we could create localized storms to disrupt the pirates' operations." Zara nodded, her mind already racing with tactical possibilities. "Go on." "The nutrient dispensing unit," Amelia continued. "We can adjust its chemical composition to create explosive combinations. Imagine using those as projectiles against their ships." Marcus Blackwood grinned, a fierce light in his eyes. "Now we're talking." "And the hydroponics tank," Amelia finished. "We can accelerate the growth of certain plants to create natural traps, and even cultivate toxic species for their poison." The room buzzed with excitement as the team began to flesh out the details of their audacious plan. Dmitri Volkov, his cybernetic arm whirring, immediately set to work on the necessary modifications. "We'll need to be careful," Zara cautioned. "These aren't designed as weapons. We'll be pushing this equipment to its limits." "Desperate times, Commander," Dmitri replied, his fingers flying over a control panel. "We'll make it work." Over the next few days, Haven became a hive of activity. The survivors worked tirelessly, repurposing their terraforming equipment into an arsenal that the alien pirates would never expect. The atmospheric converter was fitted with a gas dispersal system, capable of flooding areas with a knockout gas derived from Novaterra's native flora. Its weather control features were enhanced, allowing for the creation of sudden, violent storms to throw the pirates into disarray. The nutrient dispensing unit was recalibrated to produce highly unstable compounds. These were carefully packaged into makeshift grenades and shells, ready to be launched at the unsuspecting invaders. Perhaps most impressive was the transformation of the hydroponics tank. Under Amelia's guidance, they cultivated rapidly growing vines with incredible tensile strength, perfect for entangling enemies. In a separate, sealed section, they nurtured some of Novaterra's most toxic plant species, extracting lethal compounds for use in their desperate fight. As the final modifications were made, Zara gathered her team. "What we've done here is nothing short of miraculous," she said, her voice filled with pride. "We've turned the tools of life into weapons of war. It's not what any of us wanted, but it's what we need to do to survive and reclaim our home." The others nodded solemnly, understanding the gravity of their actions and the challenges that lay ahead. "The aliens think they've broken us," Zara continued, her eyes blazing with determination. "They believe we're nothing more than cowering refugees, but we're about to show them the true resilience of humanity. We'll use their overconfidence against them, striking when they least expect it with weapons they could never anticipate." As the team made their final preparations, there was a palpable sense of anticipation in the air. They were about to turn the tables on their alien oppressors, using ingenuity and desperation to level the playing field. The survivors of Hope's Landing were no longer merely fighting for survival. Armed with their repurposed terraforming equipment and burning with a desire for justice, they were ready to take the fight to the Void Marauders. The battle for their home, and potentially the future of humanity and the stars, was about to enter a new, explosive phase. As the survivors of Hope's Landing prepared for their daring counterattack, the atmosphere in Haven was electric with anticipation. Commander Zara Voss stood before her strike teams, her eyes blazing with determination. "Today, we take back what's ours," she declared, her voice steady and resolute. "Remember your training and trust in each other. The aliens won't know what hit them." The teams moved out, their modified terraforming equipment at the ready. Team 1, led by Zara herself, along with Lena Reeves and Dmitri Volkov, headed towards the colony's former command center. Team 2, consisting of Marcus Blackwood, Dr. Lyra Mbeki, and Dr. Amelia Chen, made their way to the outskirts of the settlement. As they approached their targets, Dmitri activated the atmospheric converter. The sky above the alien-occupied colony began to darken ominously, clouds swirling into existence with unnatural speed. The Void Marauders, caught off guard by the sudden change in weather, looked to the sky in confusion. "Now," Zara commanded. Lena triggered the gas dispersal system, releasing a cloud of knockout gas derived from Novaterra's native flora. The localized storm carried the gas directly into the heart of the alien encampment, catching the pirates completely by surprise. Simultaneously, Marcus's team launched their attack from the outskirts. Using the recalibrated nutrient dispensing unit, they lobbed makeshift grenades filled with unstable compounds into key alien positions. The resulting explosions sent shockwaves through the pirate ranks, sowing chaos and confusion. Dr. Chen, monitoring the situation from a safe distance, activated the hydroponics tank's special features. Rapidly growing vines burst from the ground, entangling alien warriors and their equipment. Those that managed to avoid the vines found themselves facing a new threat as toxic spores from carefully cultivated plants filled the air around them. The aliens, caught completely off guard by this multi-pronged assault using unfamiliar weapons, scrambled to mount a defense. Their usual coordinated response was thrown into disarray by the knockout gas and the raging localized storm. Krasthal, the alien leader, emerged from the command center, his scales bristling with rage and confusion. "What trickery is this?" he roared, struggling to see through the storm and gas. Zara, seizing the moment, led her team in a daring charge. Using the cover of the storm and the aliens' disorientation, they managed to breach the command center's defenses. Inside, they found the heart of the alien operation. Dmitri quickly set to work, his cybernetic arm interfacing with the alien technology. Within moments, he had disrupted their communication systems and gained access to crucial tactical data. "We've done it, Commander!" Dmitri exclaimed, his eyes wide with disbelief and joy. "We've crippled their command structure." Outside, the tide of battle had turned decisively in favor of the human survivors. The alien pirates, their superior technology rendered useless by the ingenious use of terraforming equipment, were in full retreat. As the storm began to clear and the gas dissipated, the extent of their victory became apparent. Dozens of alien warriors lay incapacitated, their biomech armor entangled in rapidly grown vines. Several of their smaller ships had been damaged or destroyed by the makeshift explosives. Zara stood atop the command center, surveying the scene with a mix of pride and grim satisfaction. "This is just the beginning," she said to her team. "We've shown them what humanity is capable of. Now, we press our advantage." The survivors of Hope's Landing had struck their first major blow against the Void Marauders. They had turned the tools of creation into weapons of liberation, catching their oppressors completely by surprise. As they regrouped and prepared for the aliens' inevitable counterattack, one thing was clear: the battle for Hope's Landing and perhaps the future of humanity in the stars had entered a new phase. The message to the Void Marauders was clear: humanity would not go quietly into the night. They would fight, they would survive, and they would reclaim their home among the stars. The Void Marauders' celebration of their supposed victory had turned into a nightmare of chaos and confusion. Krasthal, the alien leader, stood amidst the wreckage of what had once been the human colony's command center, his iridescent scales dulled with dust and his eyes wide with disbelief. "How?" he snarled, his translator struggling to convey the mix of rage and bewilderment in his voice. How did these primitive mammals manage this? Around him, his warriors were in disarray. Many were still entangled in the rapidly grown vines, their biomech armor struggling against the unexpectedly strong plant matter. Others stumbled about, disoriented from the knockout gas that had caught them completely off guard. Vexker, Krastul's second in command, approached cautiously. "Sir, we've lost contact with our ships in orbit. The humans' attack has disrupted our communication systems." Krastul's eyes narrowed. This was no mere act of desperate resistance. The humans had struck with precision and devastating effect. "Gather everyone who can still fight," he ordered. "We need to regroup and assess the damage." As the aliens scrambled to reorganize, the true extent of the humans' counterattack became apparent. The Void Marauders' advanced technology, which had given them such an overwhelming advantage initially, had been turned against them. Their cloaking devices were malfunctioning, likely due to the electromagnetic interference from the artificial storm. Their adaptive camouflage systems were glitching, unable to cope with the rapidly changing environment. In a hidden alcove not far from the command center, Zara and her team watched the aliens' frantic efforts through long-range scanners. "It worked better than we could have hoped," Dmitri said, a note of pride in his voice. "Their systems are in complete disarray." Zara nodded, but her expression remained cautious. "Don't get overconfident. They're down, but not out. We need to press our advantage while we can." As if to underscore her words, alarms suddenly blared from their scanners. Lena's fingers flew over the controls, her face paling as she interpreted the data. "Commander, we've got a problem. A big one." The holographic display shifted, showing a massive ship descending from orbit. It dwarfed the other alien vessels, its hull bristling with weapons. "That must be their mothership," Amelia breathed, her scientific curiosity momentarily overriding her fear. "It wasn't here during the initial attack." Zara's mind raced. This changed everything. Their victory, so sweet just moments ago, now felt hollow in the face of this new threat. "They must have called for reinforcements when they realized they were under attack," she reasoned. Back in the ruined command center, Krastul's demeanor had shifted from rage to smug satisfaction as he received word of the mothership's arrival. "Let's see how the humans fare against the full might of the Void Marauders," he growled. As the massive ship descended, casting an ominous shadow over the battlefield, both sides prepared for the next phase of the conflict. The humans, their initial advantage now threatened, retreated to their hidden bunkers to formulate a new plan. The aliens, bolstered by reinforcements, began to regroup and repair their damaged equipment. The battle for Hope's Landing had taken an unexpected turn. The human colonists had proven themselves far more resourceful and dangerous than the Void Marauders had anticipated. But with the arrival of the alien mothership, the balance of power had once again shifted. As Zara led her team back to Haven, her mind was already working on their next move. They had won the first round against all odds, but the war was far from over. The true test of their resilience and ingenuity was yet to come. In the skies above Novaterra, the alien mothership loomed like a dark promise of the challenges ahead. The colonists of Hope's Landing had shown they could fight back, but could they stand against this new, overwhelming force? The answer to that question would determine not just the fate of their colony, but potentially the future of humanity's place among the stars. As the alien mothership cast its imposing shadow over Novaterra, Commander Zara Voss knew that their small group of survivors, despite their initial success, wouldn't be enough to face this new threat. They needed to expand their ranks and create a more organized resistance. Back in the safety of Haven, Zara called a meeting with her core team. "We've proven we can fight back," she began, her voice firm with resolve. "Now we need to find more of our people and build a true resistance network." Marcus Blackwood nodded in agreement. "There must be other groups of survivors out there. We can't be the only ones who escaped the initial attack." Dr. Amelia Chen pulled up a holographic map of the colony and surrounding areas. I've been analyzing our long-range scans. There are several areas showing signs of human activity, particularly in the northern mountains and the western forest. Zara studied the map intently. Good work, Amelia. We'll need to send out scouting parties to make contact with these groups. But we have to be careful. The aliens will be on high alert after our attack. Over the next few days, small teams ventured out from Haven, using the maintenance tunnels and their knowledge of the terrain to avoid detection. Lena Reeves led a team to the northern mountains, while Marcus headed for the western forest. Lena's team was the first to make contact. They discovered a group of miners who had taken refuge in an abandoned shaft when the attack began. The miners were initially suspicious, but Lena's earnest explanation of their successful counterattack against the aliens won them over. "We thought we were the only ones left," said Jared, the leader of the miners. "To hear that you've actually struck back against those monsters, it gives us hope." Marcus's team had similar success in the western forest, where they found a mixed group of colonists led by Dr. Elena Rodriguez, a brilliant ecologist who had been studying Novaterra's unique flora when the attack came. "We've been using our knowledge of the local plants to stay hidden," Elena explained, "but we've been looking for a way to fight back. Count us in." As more survivors were brought into the fold, Haven buzzed with renewed energy and purpose. Dmitri Volkov worked tirelessly to expand their communication network, creating a secure system for the growing resistance to stay in touch. Dr. Lyra Mbeki organized medical training sessions, ensuring that each group had at least basic first aid skills. "We can't centralize everything," she explained. "Each cell of the resistance needs to be as self-sufficient as possible." Zara, meanwhile, focused on strategy. She knew that their earlier success had relied heavily on the element of surprise, an advantage they no longer had. They needed a new approach. "We need to think asymmetrically," she told her expanding council of leaders. "We can't match the aliens in terms of technology or numbers, but we know this planet. We need to use that knowledge to our advantage." As the resistance network grew, so did their capabilities. The miners brought their expertise in explosives and tunnel warfare. Elena's group contributed their knowledge of Novaterra's ecology, helping to refine their use of local flora as weapons and camouflage. But perhaps the most significant development came from an unexpected source. A group of teenage colonists, led by a precocious 16-year-old named Alex Chen, no relation to Dr. Amelia Chen, approached Zara with an idea. "We've been experimenting with the colony's old communication arrays," Alex explained, her eyes shining with excitement. "We think we can use them to interfere with the aliens' cloaking technology on a much larger scale than before." Zara listened intently as Alex outlined their plan. It was risky, but if it worked, it could give them a crucial advantage against the alien mothership. As the resistance prepared for their next move, a sense of cautious optimism began to spread through the ranks. They were no longer just survivors, they were fighters, united in their determination to reclaim their home. But even as hope grew, so did the challenges they faced. The alien pirates, led by the increasingly frustrated and vengeful Krasthul, intensified their efforts to root out the human resistance, and looming above it all was the alien mothership, a constant reminder of the overwhelming odds they faced. The battle for Hope's Landing had entered a new phase. The colonists had become a true resistance force, growing in numbers and capability. But would it be enough to stand against the full might of the Void Marauders? The answer to that question would determine the fate of not just their colony, but potentially all of humanity's ambitions among the stars. As the resistance network expanded and solidified, Commander Zara Voss knew it was time to put their newfound strength to the test. She gathered her council of leaders to plan a series of guerrilla-style attacks that would showcase their ingenuity and keep the Void Marauders off balance. The first strike came under the cover of darkness. Marcus Blackwood led a small team, including some of the miners, to target the aliens' fuel depot. Using their knowledge of explosives and the terrain, they planted charges at key points around the facility. "Remember," Marcus whispered to his team, We're not just destroying their fuel. We're sending a message. As the charges detonated, the night sky lit up with a series of spectacular explosions. The aliens, caught completely off guard, scrambled to respond. But by the time they arrived, Marcus and his team had already disappeared into the network of tunnels beneath the colony. The next attack came from an unexpected quarter. Dr. Elena Rodriguez and her team of ecologists had been working on a special project. They had cultivated a strain of rapidly growing, highly adhesive fungus native to Novaterra. Under the cover of one of Novaterra's frequent fog banks, Elena's team released spores of this fungus near the aliens' main landing pad. Within hours, the fungus had spread, creating a sticky, expanding mass that effectively grounded several of the pirates' smaller ships. Krasthul, the alien leader, was furious. "How are we being outsmarted by these primitives?" he raged, watching as his warriors struggled to free their vessels from the tenacious fungal growth. Meanwhile, Alex Chen and her team of young tech experts had been hard at work on their plan to disrupt the aliens' cloaking technology. Using repurposed communication arrays spread across the colony, they launched a coordinated electromagnetic pulse. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Several cloaked alien scout ships suddenly became visible, their stealth systems overloaded by the unexpected attack. The resistance fighters, lying in wait, seized the opportunity to disable these exposed vessels. Zara, watching the operation unfold from Haven's command center, allowed herself a small smile. "Well done, Alex," she murmured. "You've just changed the game." But the resistance wasn't done yet. Dr. Amelia Chen had been studying the data they'd gathered on the aliens' biomech armor. She discovered that the symbiotic relationship between the organic and mechanical components could be disrupted by a specific frequency of sound. Working with Dmitri Volkov, Amelia modified a series of the colony's atmospheric regulators to emit this frequency. When activated during the aliens' next patrol, the effect was immediate. Several Void Marauders collapsed, their armor systems malfunctioning and leaving them vulnerable. As the guerrilla attacks continued, the aliens found themselves increasingly on the defensive. Their superior technology, which had given them such an overwhelming advantage at the start, was being systematically neutralized by human ingenuity and adaptability. Lena Reeves led a daring raid on one of the aliens' forward command posts, using the colonists' knowledge of Novaterra's unpredictable weather patterns to mask their approach. They managed to steal crucial tactical data before disappearing into a sudden sandstorm, leaving the aliens bewildered and angry. Each attack was carefully planned to minimize risk and maximize impact. The resistance fighters struck swiftly and vanished before the aliens could mount an effective response, using the planet itself as both weapon and shield. However, as successful as these guerrilla tactics were, Zara and her council knew they were merely buying time. The alien mothership still loomed overhead, a constant reminder of the overwhelming force they faced. In response to the human successes, Krasthul began to change tactics. He ordered more aggressive patrols and started using the mothership's advanced sensors to sweep for human activity. The noose was slowly tightening around the resistance. As Zara studied the latest intelligence reports in Haven's command center, she realized they were approaching a critical juncture. Their guerrilla tactics had been effective, but they couldn't keep this up forever. Sooner or later, they would have to confront the full might of the Void Marauders. "We've shown what we can do," she told her assembled council. "Now we need to prepare for the real fight. It's time to take the battle to them." The room fell silent as the implications of her words sank in. They had proven their ability to adapt and overcome, but could they stand against the alien mothership and its vast array of weapons? The next phase of their resistance would determine not just the fate of Hope's Landing, but potentially the future of human expansion in the galaxy. As the Council began to plan their most daring operation yet, the tension in Haven was palpable. They had come so far, defying all odds, but their greatest challenge still lay ahead. As the human resistance continued to mount successful guerrilla attacks, cracks began to form in the once unified front of the Void Marauders. The alien pirates, accustomed to easy victories and quick plunder, found themselves increasingly frustrated and divided in the face of the colonists' unexpected resilience. In the heart of the captured colony, now serving as the aliens' main base, Krasthul paced furiously. His iridescent scales flickered with barely contained rage as he addressed his top lieutenants. "How is it possible that these primitive humans continue to elude us?" he snarled, his translator struggling to convey the full extent of his fury. "We have superior technology, superior numbers, and yet we're being outmaneuvered at every turn." Vexker, the insectoid second in command, chittered nervously. "Perhaps we underestimated their adaptability, sir. These humans seem to possess a remarkable ability to—" "Silence!" Krasthul roared, cutting him off. "I don't want excuses. I want results." From the shadows, a new voice spoke up. It belonged to Zalthar, a cunning strategist from a race known for their analytical minds. "If I may, sir," he began cautiously, "I believe our current approach is flawed. We're fighting these humans as if they were a conventional enemy. Clearly, we need to change our tactics." Krasthul's eyes narrowed. "Explain yourself, Zalthar." As Zalthar outlined a new strategy focusing on psychological warfare and targeting the humans' resource networks, murmurs of both agreement and dissent rippled through the assembled lieutenants. Grok, a brutish warrior who had always favored direct action, growled in disagreement. "Bah, all this planning and scheming. I say we use the mothership's main cannon and obliterate their hiding places. Let's see them resist when they're nothing but ashes." This suggestion sparked a heated debate among the alien leaders. Some, like Grok, advocated for overwhelming force. Others, following Zalthar's lead, argued for a more subtle approach. As the argument escalated, Krasthul observed silently, his anger giving way to a growing concern. This dissent among his ranks was new and troubling. The Void Marauders had always operated as a cohesive unit, their diverse species united by a common goal. Now, faced with an unexpectedly challenging foe, that unity was beginning to fracture. Meanwhile, aboard the mothership, a different kind of conflict was brewing. Zara, the ship's chief engineer, approached the command deck with trepidation. Her gelatinous form quivered with nervous energy as she delivered her report to the ship's captain, Drazkal. "Captain," she began, her bioluminescent patterns flickering anxiously, "we have a problem. The constant use of our advanced systems in this planet's atmosphere is causing unexpected wear. If we don't reduce our operations or find a way to adapt, we risk critical failures." Drazkal, a veteran of countless raids, felt a chill run through his exoskeleton. "How long until this becomes a serious issue?" Zara's colors dimmed. "At our current rate, 2 weeks, maybe less." The captain's mind raced. This information could dramatically alter their plans, but sharing it with Krasthul and the ground forces would likely lead to even more conflict and finger-pointing. For the first time in his long career, Drazkal considered withholding crucial information from his superior. Back on the ground, the internal strife among the alien pirates was not going unnoticed by the human resistance. Through carefully placed surveillance devices and intercepted communications, Zara and her team began to piece together the extent of the aliens' discord. During a strategy meeting in Haven, Lena Reeves reported their latest findings. "It seems our attacks have done more than just material damage," she explained, a hint of satisfaction in her voice. "The aliens are starting to turn on each other. Their leader, Krasthul, is facing challenges to his authority." Zara nodded thoughtfully. "This is an opportunity we can't ignore. If we can exacerbate these internal conflicts, we might be able to divide their forces and weaken them from within." As the resistance began to formulate plans to exploit the aliens' growing disunity, the Void Marauders found themselves fighting a war on 2 fronts against the humans and among themselves. The once fearsome pirate fleet, which had seemed invincible upon its arrival, was now showing signs of vulnerability. However, Zara and her council remained cautious. They knew that cornered enemies could be the most dangerous. As the aliens' internal conflicts grew, the risk of them taking drastic, potentially catastrophic action also increased. The battle for Hope's Landing had entered a new phase, with psychological warfare and internal strife adding new layers of complexity to the conflict. As both sides adjusted their strategies, the fate of the colony, and perhaps the future of human expansion in the galaxy hung in the balance. As the Resistance continued to analyze the data they had gathered from their successful raids and intercepted communications, Dr. Amelia Chen made a breakthrough. She burst into the command center of Haven, her eyes alight with excitement. "Commander Voss," she called out, drawing Zara's attention immediately. "I think we've found something big." Zara gathered the core team around the holographic display as Amelia explained her findings. "We've been analyzing the alien technology piece by piece, but I decided to look at it as a whole system. That's when I noticed this pattern." The display showed a complex web of energy signatures and data flows. Amelia highlighted 3 key points: the cloaking frigates, the biomech warriors, and the mothership itself. "Each of these systems has a unique vulnerability," Amelia explained. "The cloaking frigates are susceptible to M-pulses, especially when drawing high energy. The biomech warrior's armor can be disrupted by a specific sound frequency. And the mothership, well, it seems its power relays are prone to overload if all systems are taxed simultaneously." Marcus Blackwood leaned in, his eyes narrowing as he studied the display. "So we have 3 separate weaknesses. How does this help us against their combined force?" Amelia's grin widened. "That's the beauty of it. These aren't just separate weaknesses, they're interconnected. If we can exploit all 3 simultaneously, we could potentially create a cascading failure across their entire fleet." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Zara was the first to speak. "This could be the key we've been looking for. But exploiting these weaknesses won't be easy. We'll need to coordinate our attacks with perfect timing." Dmitri Volkov nodded, his cybernetic arm whirring as he processed the information. "We'll need to develop new weapons and modify our existing ones. EMP devices for the frigates, sonic disruptors for the biomech warriors. And a way to force the mothership to draw maximum power," Lena Reeves added. "Perhaps if we could lure them into a major offensive." Zara nodded, a plan already forming in her mind. "All right, here's what we're going to do. Amelia, work with Dmitri to develop the weapons we need. Marcus, I want you to plan a series of decoy attacks, make the aliens think we're getting desperate and sloppy." She turned to Lena. "We'll need perfect coordination for this to work. Set up a secure communication network for all our resistance cells, and get in touch with Alex Chen. Her team's work on disrupting the aliens' cloaking technology will be crucial." As the team dispersed to begin preparations, Zara felt a glimmer of hope. For the first time since the alien mothership had arrived, they had a real chance of turning the tide. Over the next few days, Haven buzzed with activity. The miners worked with Dmitri to construct powerful EMP devices, while Elena Rodriguez and her team cultivated plants that could emit the disruptive frequency needed against the biomech warriors. Alex Chen and her young tech experts worked tirelessly to refine their ability to interfere with the aliens' cloaking technology on a massive scale. They knew their role would be crucial in forcing the mothership to divert more power to its stealth systems. As the preparations neared completion, Zara gathered her council for a final briefing. "This will be our most ambitious operation yet," she said, her voice filled with determination. "If we succeed, we could cripple the Void Marauders' entire fleet. If we fail..." She let the implication hang in the air. Everyone knew the stakes. This was an all-or-nothing gambit. "We won't fail," Marcus said firmly. "We've come too far to back down now." Zara nodded, feeling a surge of pride in her people. Against all odds, they had not only survived but had found a way to fight back. Now, they were on the verge of a decisive strike against their oppressors. "Very well," she said, straightening her back. "Let's show these pirates what happens when they underestimate humanity. Operation Achilles' Heel begins at dawn." As the resistance fighters moved to their positions, a tense anticipation filled the air. They were about to exploit the aliens' weaknesses in a coordinated attack that could change the course of the battle for Hope's Landing. The future of their colony, and perhaps all of humanity's ambitions in space, would be decided in the coming confrontation. As dawn broke over Novaterra, Operation Achilles' Heel sprang into action. The Resistance fighters moved with precision and determination, each team knowing their role in the complex plan. Marcus Blackwood's decoy attacks began, drawing the aliens' attention to multiple locations across the colony. The Void Marauders, already on edge from the constant guerrilla warfare, took the bait. They deployed their forces widely, spreading themselves thin in an attempt to counter the perceived threat. With the aliens distracted, Alex Chen and her team activated their modified communication arrays. The electromagnetic pulse rippled across the battlefield, targeting the cloaking frigates. Suddenly, the once invisible ships shimmered into view, their stealth systems overloaded and failing. Krasthul, watching from his command post, roared in frustration as his tactical advantage evaporated. Impossible! How did they penetrate our cloaking technology? Taking advantage of the chaos, Elena Rodriguez's team unleashed their sonic disruptors. The carefully cultivated plants emitted a high-frequency sound that resonated through the air. While not all of the biomech warriors were affected, a significant number stumbled, their armor systems malfunctioning. Zara, coordinating the assault from Haven, saw her opportunity. "Now," she commanded, "all teams, converge on the central plaza." The Resistance fighters surged forward, their modified weapons cutting through the aliens' compromised defenses. The Void Marauders, caught off guard by the multi-pronged attack, struggled to mount an effective defense. As the battle raged on the ground, Dmitri Volkov led a daring team in a direct assault on the alien mothership. Using the colonists' terraforming equipment, now repurposed into powerful energy weapons, they targeted the ship's vulnerable power relays. The mothership's systems, already strained from constant use in Novaterra's atmosphere, began to overload. Alarms blared throughout the massive vessel as Draskal, the ship's captain, frantically tried to stabilize the situation. "We're losing control," Zara, the chief engineer, cried out. "If we don't retreat now, we risk a complete system failure." On the ground, Krasthul watched in disbelief as his forces were pushed back. The humans, whom he had dismissed as primitive and weak, were now on the verge of victory. With a bitter taste in his mouth, he gave the order he never thought he'd have to give. "All forces, fall back to the mothership," he growled. "We must regroup and reassess." As the alien pirates retreated, the human resistance pressed their advantage. They reclaimed building after building, street after street. The central plaza, once the heart of their colony, and then the aliens' command post, was the last to fall. Zara stood in the center of the plaza, surrounded by her fellow colonists. The alien mothership, trailing smoke and sparks, slowly rose into the sky, retreating from the battlefield. "We did it," Marcus said, his voice filled with awe and exhaustion. "We actually did it." Zara nodded, a mix of emotions playing across her face. "We've won the battle," she said cautiously, "but the war isn't over yet. They'll be back, and we need to be ready." As the colonists began the work of securing their reclaimed territory and tending to the wounded, a sense of hope spread through their ranks. They had faced an overwhelmingly superior force and emerged victorious. Hope's Landing was theirs once more. In the days that followed, the Resistance worked tirelessly to fortify their position. They knew the Void Marauders would return, but they also knew they were no longer helpless victims. They had proven their resilience, their ingenuity, and their determination. As Zara looked out over the reclaimed colony, she allowed herself a moment of pride. They had turned the tide against all odds. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she knew that the people of Hope's Landing would face them together, stronger and more united than ever before. The battle for their home was far from over, but for the first time since the alien invasion began, the future looked bright. Hope's Landing had lived up to its name, becoming a beacon of human perseverance in the face of cosmic adversity. As the colonists of Hope's Landing celebrated their hard-won victory, a new threat loomed on the horizon. Far above Novaterra, a fleet of alien ships emerged from the depths of space. The remainder of the Void Marauder armada had finally arrived, drawn by Krastel's distress signals broadcasted just before the battle concluded. The new ships, sleek and menacing, glided silently through the void, eager to join the fight. Commander Zara Voss, still basking in the glow of their recent triumph, was alerted to the new development by Lena Reeves. "Commander," Lena said, her voice tense, "long-range scanners have detected multiple ships entering the system. It's a lot of them." Zara's expression hardened as she studied the data. Their victory, so sweet just moments ago, now felt hollow in the face of this new threat. "Alert all team leaders," she ordered. "We need to prepare for another assault." Meanwhile, aboard the newly arrived flagship, Commander Varnock, a battle-hardened leader known for his ruthless efficiency, surveyed the battlefield from the viewing deck. His eyes narrowed as he took in the sight of the colonists celebrating in their reclaimed territory. "Insolent creatures," he spat, his voice dripping with disdain. "They think they've won, but they don't realize the storm that is coming." As Varnock's fleet joined forces with Krastel's battered forces, tensions quickly arose between the two alien leaders. In a heated meeting, Krastel's frustration boiled over. "You were delayed," he accused. "You've allowed the humans to regroup and fortify." Varnock remained unfazed, quickly moving to assert his authority. "You should have called for reinforcements sooner, Krastel. Now we must act swiftly and decisively to reclaim what is rightfully ours." The arrival of the reinforcements dramatically shifted the balance of power. The colonists, who had just begun to feel secure in their reclaimed territory, now found themselves facing an enemy force that dwarfed the original invasion fleet. As news of the alien reinforcements spread through Hope's Landing, the mood shifted from celebration to grim determination. Zara gathered her council to assess the situation. "We're outnumbered and outgunned," Marcus Blackwood stated bluntly. "Our previous tactics won't work against a force this size." Dr. Amelia Chen nodded in agreement. "We need to find a new weakness to exploit, and fast. Their technology may have advanced since our last encounter." As the council debated their options, an unexpected voice spoke up. It was Alex Chen, the young tech prodigy who had been instrumental in their previous victory. "What if we could turn their numbers against them?" she suggested, her eyes gleaming with an idea. The room fell silent as Alex outlined a daring plan. It was risky, bordering on suicidal, but it just might work. As the details were hammered out, a spark of hope began to reignite among the resistance leaders. Meanwhile, aboard the alien flagship, Varnock and Krastel continued to clash over strategy. Varnock's aggressive approach contrasted sharply with Krastel's newfound caution, born from his recent defeat. "We shall crush them between our might and our cunning," Varnock declared, outlining a plan to use the mothership's plasma cannons to demolish the humans' defenses while sending in cloaked boarding parties. Krastel, still stung by his earlier defeat, nodded slowly, allowing Varnock's confidence to stir a flicker of hope. "Very well," he conceded. "Let us show them their recklessness shall be their downfall." As both sides prepared for the coming battle, the stage was set for a confrontation that would determine not just the fate of Hope's Landing, but potentially the future of humanity's interstellar ambitions. The colonists, though outnumbered, were not about to give up their hard-won freedom without a fight. Little did either side know, the true nature of the conflict was about to change in ways that neither humans nor aliens could have anticipated. As Novaterra's twin suns set on the eve of battle, a new player was about to enter the game, one that would throw all existing plans into chaos and force both sides to reconsider everything they thought they knew about their struggle for dominance. As the alien reinforcements settled into orbit around Novaterra, Commander Zara Voss knew that holding their reclaimed territory was no longer an option. With a heavy heart, she gave the order to initiate Protocol Shadowfall, a contingency plan they had hoped never to use. "We can't fight them head-on," Zara explained to the gathered colonists. "But we won't surrender. We're going to disappear." Over the next 48 hours, the people of Hope's Landing executed a carefully orchestrated evacuation. They moved in small groups, using the network of tunnels and hidden passages they had established during their earlier resistance. Their destination, a series of concealed bases scattered across Novaterra's most inhospitable regions. The main base, codenamed Sanctuary, was nestled deep within the planet's treacherous northern mountain range, carved into the living rock and shielded by the planet's natural electromagnetic disturbances. It was nearly impossible to detect from orbit. As the last of the colonists arrived at Sanctuary, Zara gathered her council to outline their new strategy. "We can't match their numbers or firepower," she began, her voice steady despite the gravity of their situation. "So we're going to have to outsmart them." Dr. Amelia Chen stepped forward, activating a holographic display. "We've been analyzing the data from the reinforcement fleet. Their technology has indeed advanced, but so has ours. We've made some breakthroughs by reverse engineering the alien tech we captured." She gestured to a series of schematics floating in the air. "These are prototypes for personal cloaking devices, based on the aliens' own technology. They're not perfect, but they'll give us a significant advantage in stealth operations." Marcus Blackwood nodded approvingly. "Stealth is good, but we need more than that. We need to be able to strike hard and fast when the opportunity arises." "That's where this comes in," Dmitri Volkov interjected, pulling up another schematic. "We've modified our terraforming equipment into what we're calling geopulse weapons. They can create localized seismic disturbances, perfect for disrupting enemy formations or even bringing down their structures." As the council discussed these new developments, Alex Chen cleared her throat nervously. "There's something else," she said, her young face serious. "We've been working on a way to hijack the aliens' communication networks. If we can perfect it, we might be able to feed them false information or even turn their own forces against each other." Zara listened intently as each member of her team presented their ideas and innovations. It was clear that the time spent in resistance had honed their skills and creativity to a razor's edge. "Excellent work, all of you," she said finally. "Now, let's put it all together into a cohesive strategy." Over the next few days, the resistance adopted a new, more fluid organizational structure. They formed small, highly mobile strike teams, each equipped with a new cloaking devices and specialized weaponry. These teams would operate independently, striking at alien weak points and disappearing before retaliation could be mounted. They also established a network of hidden supply caches and secondary bases across the planet, ensuring that no single location was critical to their survival. This decentralized approach made them incredibly difficult to pin down or eliminate entirely. Meanwhile, Alex and her team of young tech experts worked tirelessly on their communication interception project, dubbed Operation Echo. If successful, it would give them unprecedented insight into alien movements and plans. As the resistance settled into their new roles and tactics, a sense of renewed determination spread through their ranks. They had lost ground, yes, but they had gained something perhaps more valuable: experience, innovation, and an unshakable resolve. Zara stood at the entrance of Sanctuary, looking out over the harsh, beautiful landscape of Novaterra. The alien ships were visible in the night sky, a constant reminder of the threat they faced. But as she turned back to the bustling activity of the base, she felt a surge of pride and hope. "They think they've won," she murmured to herself. "But they have no idea what they're really up against." As the resistance prepared for their first major operation under the new strategy, little did they know that their actions were about to set in motion a chain of events that would change the nature of the conflict in ways none of them could have predicted. The battle for Hope's Landing was entering a new phase, and the galaxy itself would never be the same. As the resistance settled into their new strategy of hit-and-run tactics, an unexpected opportunity presented itself. During a daring raid on an alien outpost led by Marcus Blackwood, the team managed to capture a lone Void Marauder who had become separated from his unit. The alien, a lower-ranking officer named Zexkal, was brought back to Sanctuary under heavy guard. As the first live alien captive, he represented a potential goldmine of information if they could find a way to communicate effectively. Dr. Amelia Chen and her team worked tirelessly to modify the aliens' translation technology for human use. After several tense hours, they managed to create a rudimentary two-way communication device. In a secure chamber deep within Sanctuary, Commander Zara Voss prepared to interrogate their prisoner. She was accompanied by Dr. Lyra Mbeki, whose expertise in xenobiology and psychology made her invaluable for this task. As Zara entered the room, she was struck by her first close-up view of a Void Marauder without its armor. Zexkal's iridescent scales shimmered nervously, his four eyes darting around the unfamiliar environment. "I am Commander Zara Voss," she began, activating the translation device. "You are now a prisoner of the human resistance. We have questions, and you will answer them." What followed was a tense and often frustrating interrogation. Zexkal initially refused to cooperate, spouting what seemed to be rehearsed propaganda about the superiority of the Void Marauders and the inevitability of their victory. However, as the hours wore on and Lyra employed her psychological expertise, cracks began to appear in Zexkal's facade. It became clear that the alien was young and inexperienced, more scared than truly committed to the cause. "Why are you here?" Zara pressed. "What do the Void Marauders really want with our colony?" Zexkal hesitated, his scales flickering with conflicting emotions. Finally, he spoke, his translated voice tinged with a mix of fear and relief. "It's not just about your colony," he admitted. "It's about survival." Over the next few hours, a startling picture emerged. The Void Marauders, it turned out, were not simply pirates or conquerors. They were refugees of a sort, driven from their home systems by a catastrophic event they called the Sundering. "Our worlds were dying," Zexkal explained, his voice heavy with remembered sorrow. "Resources depleted, star systems destabilized. We had no choice but to leave, to find new homes among the stars." But their exodus had not been peaceful. Rejected and feared by established galactic powers, the disparate species that made up the Void Marauders had banded together out of necessity. They became raiders and conquerors, taking what they needed to survive and seeking revenge on a universe they felt had abandoned them. "Your colony," Zexkal continued, "it's not just a target. It's a potential new home. Your world is rich in resources, and your adaptability. It's something our leaders covet." As the interrogation continued, more crucial information came to light. The Void Marauder Society was deeply hierarchical, with a ruling council of elders making most major decisions. There were also hints of internal conflicts and power struggles, particularly between the more aggressive factions led by Commander Varnock and those who sought a more diplomatic approach. Perhaps most importantly, Zexkal revealed that the Marauders' technology, while advanced, was not infallible. Their ships required regular maintenance using specific rare minerals that were becoming increasingly scarce in their fleet. As the session concluded, Zara and Lyra exchanged meaningful glances. The information they had gained was invaluable, potentially changing the entire context of their struggle. "Thank you for your cooperation," Zara said to Zexkal, her mind already racing with the implications of what they had learned. "You will be treated fairly as our prisoner." As they left the interrogation chamber, Lyra turned to Zara. "This changes everything, doesn't it?" she asked quietly. Zara nodded, her expression thoughtful. "It does. We're not just fighting for our colony anymore. We're fighting for the future of two peoples and maybe for a chance at peace." The revelation of the Void Marauders' true nature and motivations added a new layer of complexity to the conflict. As Zara prepared to brief her council on this new information, she knew that the decisions they made in the coming days would have far-reaching consequences, not just for Hope's Landing, but potentially for the entire galaxy. The battle for Novaterra was no longer a simple clash between invaders and defenders. It had become a struggle for survival, understanding, and the possibility of a shared future. As both humans and aliens grappled with these new realities, the stage was set for a dramatic shift in the nature of their conflict. As the Resistance processed the revelations from Zexkal's interrogation, an unexpected development occurred. Lena Reeves, monitoring the long-range communication arrays, detected an unusual signal originating from the edge of the Novaterra system. "Commander," Lena called out, her voice tinged with excitement and apprehension, "you need to see this." Zara hurried to the communications center, where Lena played back the intercepted message. To their astonishment, it was not in the language of the Void Marauders, nor was it in any human dialect. It was something entirely new. Dr. Amelia Chen, summoned to analyze the signal, worked feverishly with her team to decipher its contents. After several tense hours, she emerged with a partial translation. "It's a distress call," Amelia explained, her eyes wide with wonder. "From another alien species, they're asking for help against the Void Marauders." The message was from a race calling themselves the Aethery. Like the humans of Hope's Landing, they had suffered attacks from the Void Marauders. Unlike the human, however, the Aethery were a spacefaring civilization with technology that rivaled, and in some areas surpassed, that of the pirates. Zara called an emergency council meeting to discuss this new development. The room buzzed with a mixture of excitement and caution as they debated their next move. "This could be the advantage we need," Marcus Blackwood argued. "An alliance with another advanced species could turn the tide of this war." Dr. Lyra Mbeki, however, urged caution. "We know nothing about these Aethery. What if they're no better than the Void Marauders? We could be jumping from the frying pan into the fire." As the debate continued, Alex Chen spoke up. "What if we could communicate with them without revealing our location? I think I can modify our long-range transmitter to send a response." Zara considered the options carefully. The potential benefits of an alliance were enormous, but the risks were equally significant. Finally, she made her decision. "Alex, work on that transmitter. We'll send a message, but we'll be careful about what information we share. Amelia, I want you to analyze every scrap of data we have on these Aethery. If we're going to do this, we need to be prepared." Over the next few days, the Resistance worked tirelessly to establish communication with the Aethery. When they finally made contact, they were greeted by Ambassador Zalvira, a being of ethereal beauty with translucent, bioluminescent skin. "Greetings, humans of Hope's Landing," Zalvira's translated voice rang out. "We have heard of your brave resistance against the Void Marauders. We propose an alliance to end their threat once and for all." As discussions progressed, the Aethery shared their own history with the Void Marauders. They had repelled several attacks, but at great cost. They believed that by combining their advanced technology with the humans' resourcefulness and knowledge of Novaterra, they could defeat the pirates decisively. However, as Zara and her council delved deeper into negotiations, they discovered that the situation was more complex than it initially appeared. The Aethery, while genuine in their desire to stop the Void Marauders, had their own agenda. They were interested in Novaterra's unique resources and saw the potential for a permanent presence in the system. This revelation led to intense debates within the Resistance. Some, like Marcus, saw the Aethery as their best hope for victory and were willing to make concessions. Others, including Dr. Chen, worried about trading one potential overlord for another. Zara found herself walking a diplomatic tightrope, trying to secure the alliance they desperately needed while protecting the long-term interest of Hope's Landing. The negotiations were further complicated by the need to keep their exact location secret, even from their potential allies. As the discussions continued, a new wrinkle emerged. The Aethery revealed that they had technology that could potentially communicate with the vast terraforming systems of Novaterra itself. This raised both exciting possibilities and alarming ethical questions about the nature of the planet they called home. Meanwhile, the Void Marauders were not idle. As news of the potential alliance reached them, internal conflicts within their ranks intensified. Krasthul and Varnak found themselves at odds, with Krasthul advocating for a more diplomatic approach, while Varnak pushed for an all-out assault before the alliance could be formalized. As tensions rose on all sides, Zara realized that their next moves would be critical. The potential alliance with the Aethery offered hope, but it also brought new complications and risks. The fate of Hope's Landing, and perhaps the entire Novaterra system, hung in the balance. With the Void Marauders preparing for a major offensive, the Aethery fleet approaching, and the secrets of Novaterra itself potentially in play, the stage was set for a conflict that would reshape the future of human and alien relations in this corner of the galaxy. With the Void Marauders preparing for a major offensive and negotiations with the Aethery still in a delicate state, Commander Zara Voss knew they needed to act decisively. She gathered her most trusted operatives for a mission that would either turn the tide of the war or end in disaster. "We're going to infiltrate the alien mothership," Zara announced to the stunned group. "Our goal is to sabotage their main weapon systems and buy us the time we need to finalize our alliance with the Aethery." The team for this high-stakes operation consisted of Marcus Blackwood for his combat expertise, Dr. Amelia Chen for her knowledge of alien technology, Dmitri Volkov for his engineering skills, and Alex Chen, whose hacking abilities would be crucial for bypassing the ship's security systems. Using the personal cloaking devices they had developed, the team planned to sneak aboard during a routine supply transfer. Their inside knowledge, gained from Zexkal's interrogation, would be vital for navigating the massive vessel. As the day of the mission arrived, tension in Sanctuary was palpable. Zara addressed the team one last time before they departed. "Remember, this isn't just about damaging their weapons. We need to gather as much intelligence as we can. The fate of Hope's Landing rests on your shoulders." Under the cover of Novaterra's frequent ion storms, which interfered with the alien sensors, the team approached the mothership in a small, modified shuttle. Using forged clearance codes, they managed to dock in one of the lower maintenance bays. Once aboard, they activated their cloaking devices and began their perilous journey through the heart of the alien vessel. The ship's interior was a maze of pulsing biomechanical corridors, unlike anything they had ever seen. "It's like the ship is alive," Amelia whispered, her scientific curiosity momentarily overriding her fear. As they made their way towards the main weapons control center, they encountered their first major obstacle. A group of biomech warriors was patrolling a crucial junction. Marcus signaled the team to hold position as he assessed the situation. "We can't risk a firefight," he murmured. "It'll alert the whole ship." Alex's eyes lit up with an idea. "What if we don't have to fight them?" She pulled out a small device she had been working on. "This might be able to interfere with their neural links. It's untested, but—" Zara nodded, trusting in the young prodigy's skills. "Do it." Alex activated the device, and to their amazement, the biomech warriors suddenly stopped in their tracks, their systems momentarily confused. The team slipped past undetected. As they approached the weapons control center, Dmitri worked quickly to bypass the security protocols. Inside, they found a vast chamber filled with pulsating energy conduits and holographic displays. "We don't have much time," Amelia warned, already analyzing the alien systems. "I can initiate a cascading failure in their main power relays, but it'll take a few minutes to set up." While Amelia and Dmitri worked on sabotaging the weapons, Marcus and Alex stood guard. Suddenly, alarms began to blare throughout the ship. "They've detected us," Marcus shouted, readying his weapon. "Almost done," Amelia called back, her fingers flying over the alien controls. Just as the first group of alien security forces burst into the chamber, Amelia hit the final sequence. The ship shuddered as its main weapon systems began to overload. "Time to go," Zara ordered. The team fought their way back through the ship, their cover now blown. Marcus's combat skills and Alex's ability to hack door controls proved invaluable as they made their harrowing escape. As they reached their shuttle, the mothership systems were in chaos. Emergency protocols had kicked in, shutting down entire sections of the vessel to prevent a complete meltdown. With alien fighters in hot pursuit, the team's shuttle raced back towards Novaterra. The planet's atmosphere had never looked so welcoming as they plunged through it, finally losing their pursuers in the thick clouds. Back in Sanctuary, the mission was hailed as a massive success. Not only had they crippled the Void Marauders' main weapons, but the intelligence they gathered would prove crucial in the coming battles. However, as the team debriefed, A sobering realization set in. In the weapons control center, Amelia had discovered plans for a terrifying new weapon, one capable of rendering entire planets uninhabitable. "They're desperate," Zara concluded, her face grim, "which makes them more dangerous than ever." The successful sabotage mission had bought them time and valuable intelligence, but it had also raised the stakes dramatically. As news of the mothership's vulnerability spread through the Void Marauder fleet, internal conflicts intensified. Krasthul and Varnok's power struggle reached a boiling point, threatening to tear the alien forces apart from within. Meanwhile, the Aetheri, impressed by the humans' daring and success, became more eager to finalize their alliance. But with the threat of the Void Marauders' planet-killing weapon looming, the Resistance knew that their greatest challenges still lay ahead. As Zara looked out over the gathered Resistance fighters, she knew that the next phase of the conflict would determine not just the fate of Hope's Landing, but potentially the future of multiple species and worlds. The battle for Novaterra was about to enter its most crucial and dangerous phase yet. With the Void Marauders' mothership crippled and the alliance with the Aetheri finalized, Commander Zara Voss knew it was time for a decisive strike. The threat of the planet-killing weapon loomed large, pushing them to act swiftly and decisively. In Sanctuary's war room, holographic displays showed the positions of the pirate fleet and the approaching Aetheri ships. Zara stood at the center, surrounded by her core team and the ethereal form of Ambassador Zalvira, present via a sophisticated holographic link. "This is our moment," Zara declared, her voice steady and determined. "We have one chance to end this conflict and secure a future for all our peoples." The plan was audacious. The Aetheri fleet would engage the bulk of the Void Marauder forces, drawing them away from Novaterra. Meanwhile, the human Resistance, using their intimate knowledge of the planet and their advanced guerrilla tactics, would launch a series of coordinated strikes against key pirate positions on the surface. As dawn broke over Novaterra, the operation began. The sky lit up with the flashes of energy weapons as the Aetheri fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel on the edge of the system. The Void Marauders, caught off guard by the sudden appearance of a technologically advanced enemy, scrambled to respond. On the planet's surface, Resistance strike teams moved into position. Marcus Blackwood led a group to take out the pirates' main communication array, while Dr. Amelia Chen and Dmitri Volkov targeted their power generation facilities. Alex Chen, coordinating from Sanctuary, used her hacking skills to sow confusion among the alien forces, feeding false information into their networks. The battle in space was a spectacular sight. The Aetheri ships, sleek and agile, danced around the more cumbersome Void Marauder vessels. Ambassador Zalvira, commanding the fleet personally, proved to be a brilliant tactician, exploiting the weaknesses in the pirates' formation. As the space battle raged, the Resistance fighters on the ground made significant headway. Using their personal cloaking devices and the geopulse weapons, they struck hard and fast at key targets. The Void Marauders, their attention divided between the space battle and the ground assault, struggled to mount an effective defense. In orbit, the damaged mothership, commanded by an increasingly desperate Krasthul, moved to deploy the planet-killing weapon. But before they could activate it, a joint strike by Aetheri cruisers and a specially equipped human shuttle, piloted by Lena Reeves, managed to destroy the weapon's emitter array. The destruction of their superweapon marked a turning point in the battle. Morale among the Void Marauders plummeted, and internal divisions that had been simmering for weeks finally boiled over. Several ships, led by those loyal to the more moderate factions, broke formation and attempted to flee. Seeing his forces crumbling around him, Krasthul made a last, desperate gambit. He ordered the mothership to set a collision course for Novaterra, hoping to at least deny their enemies the prize they fought so hard for. Zara, realizing the imminent danger, coordinated a daring plan with Zalvira. As the Aetheri fleet moved to intercept the mothership, a small team led by Zara herself used the confusion to board the massive vessel once again. In a tense confrontation on the bridge, Zara faced off against Krasthul. But instead of a final battle, something unexpected happened. Zara, drawing on the knowledge gained from Zexkal and her own experiences, appealed to Krastul's deeper motivations, the desire for a home, for survival. "This doesn't have to end in destruction for all of us," Zara said, her weapon lowered. "There's a place for your people here, if you're willing to find a peaceful solution." For a moment, the fate of Novaterra hung in the balance. Then, slowly, Krastul lowered his weapon. "Perhaps," he said, his voice heavy with the weight of his decisions, "it is time for the Void Marauders to stop wandering." As word of Krastul's surrender spread, the remaining pirate ships stood down. The battle was over. In the days that followed, an uneasy peace settled over Novaterra. Representatives from the humans, HFY, and the now fractured Void Marauders met to discuss the future. It was agreed that a portion of Novaterra would be set aside for those marauders who wished to settle under strict conditions. As Zara stood on a hilltop overlooking the recovering colony of Hope's Landing, she reflected on the incredible journey they had been through. The planet that had once been a simple human outpost was now poised to become a unique experiment in interspecies cooperation. "It won't be easy," Amelia said, joining her on the hilltop. "No," Zara agreed, "but nothing worth doing ever is." As the sun set on Novaterra, casting a warm glow over the landscape, the inhabitants of Hope's Landing, human, HFY, and former Void Marauder alike looked to the future with cautious optimism. They had faced overwhelming odds and emerged not just victorious, but with the potential for a new beginning. The battle for Hope's Landing was over, but the real work of building a lasting peace was just beginning. As Zara gazed at the stars above, she knew that their little colony had just taken its first steps into a much larger, more complex galaxy. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, united by their shared experiences and their hope for a better future. The coordinated attack on the Void Marauder fleet had been a resounding success, but Commander Zara Voss knew the war was far from over. The remaining pirate forces on Novaterra's surface, led by the ruthless Commander Varnock, had fortified their positions in and around the original colony of Hope's Landing. This was to be humanity's final stand-up battle to reclaim their home and secure their future among the stars. As dawn broke over Novaterra's turbulent skies, Zara stood atop a ridge overlooking the occupied colony. The HFY fleet, now in low orbit, cast shimmering reflections across the landscape. Behind her, the combined forces of the human resistance and their new alien allies prepared for the assault. "This is it," Zara said, her voice carrying to the assembled troops via their comm links. "Everything we've fought for comes down to this moment. We're not just fighting for our colony, we're fighting for the right of humanity to claim its place in the galaxy." Marcus Blackwood, his face set in grim determination, nodded to his strike team. "Remember your training," he said. "We've come too far to fail now." Dr. Amelia Chen made last-minute adjustments to their weaponry, her scientific brilliance having transformed the colonists' tools into formidable arms. "The geo-pulse weapons are primed and ready," she reported. "They should be particularly effective against their fortifications." Dmitri Volkov, his cybernetic arm humming with energy, manned the controls of a repurposed terraforming vehicle, now a mobile artillery platform. "Just point me at the enemy, Commander," he said with a fierce grin. As the resistance forces moved into position, Alex Chen's voice crackled over the comm system from her position in the mobile command center. "I've infiltrated their communication networks," she reported. "They're scrambling to respond, but their coordination is in chaos." Zara took a deep breath, steeling herself for what was to come. "All units, commence Operation Homecoming." The battle began with a coordinated barrage from the HFY ships in orbit and Dmitri's mobile artillery. The Void Marauders' outer defenses crumbled under the assault, creating openings for the ground forces to exploit. Marcus led the charge, his team using their personal cloaking devices to slip past the aliens' front lines. They targeted key defensive positions, using their intimate knowledge of the colony's layout to outmaneuver the pirates. Dr. Chen, working with a group of HFY scientists, deployed a new weapon they had developed together, a swarm of nanobots that could disable the biomech warriors' armor from within. As waves of alien troops advanced, many suddenly found their advanced suits powerless, leaving them vulnerable to the Resistance's counterattack. The fighting was intense and close quarters. The colonists, hardened by their years of resistance, fought with a ferocity that surprised even their ethery allies. They used every trick and tactic they had learned, from using Novaterra's volatile weather to their advantage to employing the planet's native flora as natural traps. In the heart of the colony, Zara led a daring assault on the main command center. As they fought their way through the corridors of what had once been their home, she couldn't help but reflect on how far they had come. The scared and desperate survivors of the initial invasion were now a force to be reckoned with, standing toe-to-toe with an interstellar threat. As they neared the command center, they encountered Commander Varnock himself, surrounded by his elite guard. The alien leader, his scales bristling with rage, charged at Zara with a roar of defiance. The ensuing battle was fierce, a clash not just of weapons but of wills. Varnock's brute strength and advanced weaponry were matched against Zara's tactical brilliance and the colonists' homegrown technology. In the end, it was Zara's unwavering determination and the support of her team that tipped the scales. With a well-placed shot from a geopulse weapon, Zara sent Varnock crashing to the ground. The alien commander, his armor sparking and failing, looked up at her with a mix of rage and disbelief. "How?" he snarled. "How could mere humans defeat us?" Zara stood over him, her weapon trained on his head. "Because we're fighting for more than conquest," she said. "We're fighting for our home, for our future, and that makes us stronger than you could ever imagine." With Varnock's capture, the remaining Void Marauder forces quickly surrendered. As the sounds of battle faded, replaced by the cheers of victorious humans and ethery, Zara stepped out onto the balcony of the command center. Below her, she saw the colony of Hope's Landing battered and scarred, but still standing. Human colonists embraced their ethery allies, while captured Void Marauders were led away, their once fearsome appearance now diminished in defeat. As Zara surveyed the scene, she felt a profound sense of accomplishment tinged with the weight of responsibility. They had won their home back, but the real work was just beginning. They would need to rebuild, to heal, and to forge a new path forward not just for themselves, but as a beacon for humanity's future among the stars. Marcus joined her on the balcony, his face streaked with dirt and sweat, but his eyes shining with pride. "We did it, Commander," he said softly. "We actually did it." Zara nodded, allowing herself a small smile. "We did," she agreed. "But this is just the beginning. We've proven that humanity can stand against any threat, that we belong out here among the stars. Now we have to show that we can build something lasting, a true interstellar community." As the suns of Novaterra began to set, casting a golden glow over the liberated colony, Zara Voss looked to the sky. The stars were coming out, no longer a reminder of the threat looming above, but a promise of the adventures and discoveries that lay ahead. Humanity had been tested, pushed to its limits, and had emerged triumphant. Hope's Landing would stand as a testament to human resilience, ingenuity, and the indomitable spirit of exploration. The colony had lived up to its name, becoming a beacon of hope not just for its inhabitants, but for all of humanity's aspirations in the vast expanse of space. The battle was over, but the journey was just beginning, and Zara Voss, along with the brave colonists of Hope's Landing, was ready to lead the way into humanity's bold new future among the stars. As the dust settled on the battlefield of Hope's Landing, the remnants of the once mighty Void Marauder force found themselves in a position they had never anticipated: defeat at the hands of what they had considered a primitive species. Commander Varnock, now a prisoner of the humans he had so grossly underestimated, sat in a makeshift holding cell, his proud posture now slumped in disbelief. Krasthal, who had surrendered earlier, was brought to the same holding area. The two alien leaders, once united in their conquest, now faced each other as broken adversaries. "How?" Varnock hissed, his translator struggling to convey the mix of anger and bewilderment in his voice. "How did we lose to these mammals?" Krasthal's response was tinged with a newfound respect. "We made a grave error, Varnock. We saw their technology and assumed we knew their limits. We failed to account for their adaptability, their resourcefulness. Outside the holding area, Zara Voss and Marcus Blackwood listened to the aliens' conversation through a surveillance feed. They exchanged knowing glances, recognizing the shift in the Void Marauders' perception. Meanwhile, in what used to be the aliens' command center, Dr. Amelia Chen and a team of human and ethery scientists pored over the captured Void Marauder technology. The aliens' advanced systems, which had once seemed insurmountable, now lay bare before them. "It's remarkable," Amelia mused, her eyes alight with scientific curiosity. "Their tech is advanced, yes, but it's rigid, over-specialized. They never anticipated having to adapt it to new situations." An ethery scientist, Xylos, nodded in agreement. The humans' ability to repurpose their terraforming equipment into weapons was unprecedented. We've never seen such innovative thinking in warfare. Back in the holding area, Varnock and Krasthul continued their somber reflection. "Their cloaking devices," Varnock growled. "Crude, but effective. And those geopulse weapons. Who would have thought to weaponize planet-shaping tools?" Krasthul's eyes narrowed. "It wasn't just their weapons. Did you see how they used the planet itself against us? The storms, the native flora, they turned everything into an advantage." As if to underscore their point, a group of human engineers passed by, discussing plans to further improve their hybrid human-alien technology. The Void Marauder leaders fell silent, listening to the enthusiastic exchange of ideas. In another part of the colony, Alex Chen was demonstrating to a mixed group of humans and ethery how she had managed to hack into the Void Marauders' communication systems. The ethery looked on in amazement at the young human's ability to manipulate complex alien code. "Their cyber defenses were strong," Alex explained, her fingers flying over a holographic interface. "But they were designed to repel brute force attacks. They never expected someone to find a way to slip through the cracks." As the day wore on, more and more examples of human ingenuity came to light. The Void Marauders learned of the daring raid on their mothership, the repurposing of atmospheric converters into chemical weapons, and the complex guerrilla tactics that had kept the human resistance alive against overwhelming odds. Zara, making her rounds through the colony, stopped by the holding area one last time. She looked at Varnock and Krasthul, seeing the dawning realization in their alien eyes. "I hope you understand now," she said, her voice firm but not unkind. "Humanity doesn't just survive. We adapt, we innovate, we overcome. This planet, this colony, it's more than just a place to us. It's a symbol of everything we can achieve." As she turned to leave, Krasthul spoke up. "Commander Voss," he said, his voice heavy with newfound respect. "We came here seeing you as easy prey. We leave humbled and curious. Perhaps there is much our people could learn from each other." Zara paused, considering his words. "Perhaps," she agreed, "but that's a conversation for another day. For now, know this: humanity has taken its place among the stars, and we're here to stay." As she walked away, leaving the alien leaders to their thoughts, Zara couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. They had not only defended their home, but had shown the galaxy what humanity was truly capable of. The Void Marauders' underestimation of human potential had been their downfall. And now, as the sun set on Novaterra, it was clear that a new chapter in interstellar relations was about to begin. The battle for Hope's Landing had proven that humanity's greatest strength lay not in their technology or their weapons, but in their spirit, their unwavering determination, their boundless creativity, and their ability to unite in the face of overwhelming odds. It was a lesson the Void Marauders, and perhaps the entire galaxy, would not soon forget. As the last pockets of Void Marauder resistance crumbled, the full scale of humanity's victory became apparent. Commander Zara Voss stood at the entrance of the colony's main plaza, watching as groups of alien pirates were led in, their once fearsome appearance now diminished in defeat. Zara's core team flanked her. Marcus Blackwood, his weapon lowered but still alert. Dr. Amelia Chen, her keen eyes analyzing the alien technology even now. Dmitri Volkov, his cybernetic arm whirring softly as he stood guard, and Alex Chen, monitoring the last of the enemy communications for any signs of treachery. As the captured Void Marauder leaders, Krasthul and Varnak, were brought forward, a tense silence fell over the assembled humans and ethery allies. This was the moment that would define not just the end of the conflict, but the beginning of a new era for interspecies relations. Zara stepped forward, her voice clear and unwavering. Commanders of the Void Marauders, you have witnessed the full extent of humanity's resolve. Your fleet is destroyed, your forces defeated. Do you surrender? Krasthul, his scales dulled with the dust of battle, spoke first. We surrender, he said, his translator conveying a mix of resignation and respect. Humanity has proven itself a formidable adversary, and perhaps a worthy ally. Varnak, still defiant even in defeat, snarled, We have no choice. But know this, human, you have made an enemy of the stars themselves. Zara's expression remained impassive. We didn't choose this conflict, but we have ended it. Now, we must all choose how we move forward. She turned to address the gathered colonists and allies. Today, we have won more than a battle. We have secured our place among the stars. But true strength lies not just in victory, but in how we treat those we have defeated. With a nod to Marcus, Zara continued, We will not stoop to cruelty or vengeance. The Void Marauders will be treated fairly, in accordance with interstellar law and basic principles of decency. Those who wish to integrate peacefully will be given the opportunity to do so. This declaration was met with murmurs from the crowd, some of approval, others of discontent. Zara raised her hand for silence. I understand the pain and anger many of you feel. The Void Marauders brought war to our home, threatened our very existence. But we must be better than our enemies. We must show the galaxy that humanity stands for justice, not revenge. Dr. Chen stepped forward, addressing the alien leaders. Your wounded will receive the same medical care as our own. We're particularly interested in helping those whose biomechanical implants may have been damaged in the fighting. Dmitri added, Those of you with technical expertise will be invited to work alongside us in repairing the damage to our colony. Your knowledge, combined with our innovation, could lead to advancements that benefit us all. Alex, her young face serious beyond her years, spoke up. We'll be monitoring all communications and activities closely. This is an opportunity for peace, but we won't hesitate to defend ourselves if necessary. As the terms of surrender were laid out, Zara could see the surprise and confusion on the faces of the Void Marauders. They had expected harsh retribution, not measured justice and potential cooperation. One of the alien soldiers, emboldened by the humans' unexpected mercy, stepped forward. Why? He asked simply. Why show us kindness after all we've done? Zara's response was firm but compassionate. Because that's who we are. Humanity has survived and thrived by coming together, by turning enemies into allies. We believe in second chances and the power of cooperation. But make no mistake, this mercy comes from strength, not weakness. Betray it at your peril. As the day wore on, the process of disarming and processing the Void Marauder prisoners continued. The E3 representatives, impressed by humanity's handling of the situation, pledged their continued support in rebuilding and defending the colony. That evening, as the twin suns of Novaterra set, casting a golden glow over the battered but unbroken Hope's Landing, Zara stood with her team on the balcony of the reclaimed command center. We did it, Marcus said, a note of wonder still in his voice. We actually did it. Zara nodded, her eyes on the horizon where stars were beginning to appear. We've won the war, she said thoughtfully. Now comes the hard part, winning the peace. As night fell on Hope's Landing, the colony buzzed with activity. Humans, ethery, and even some of the former Void Marauders worked side by side to begin the process of rebuilding. It was a small step, but a significant one, a glimpse of a future where different species could coexist and cooperate. The battle for Hope's Landing had proven humanity's strength and resilience. Now, in its aftermath, They were demonstrating something equally important: wisdom, compassion, and the vision to build a better future for all. As Zara looked out at the bustling colony, she knew that the real work was just beginning. But for the first time in a long while, the future looked bright indeed. In the weeks following the surrender of the Void Marauders, Hope's Landing underwent a remarkable transformation. The once ravaged colony began to rise from the ashes, its reconstruction a testament to human resilience and interspecies cooperation. Commander Zara Voss stood atop the newly rebuilt command center, surveying the bustling activity below. The plaza, once a battlefield, now teemed with a diverse mix of humans, Aethery, and even some former Void Marauders who had chosen to integrate into the colony. "It's amazing how quickly things are changing," Marcus Blackwood remarked, joining Zara on the observation deck. His battle-worn armor had been replaced by the practical attire of a colonial security chief. Zara nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. "It's more than just rebuilding, Marcus. We're creating something entirely new here." Below them, Dr. Amelia Chen led a team of human and alien scientists through the streets. They were headed to the newly established Xenotechnology Research Center, a state-of-the-art facility dedicated to studying and integrating the advanced technology left behind by the Void Marauders. "Dr. Chen's work is progressing faster than we could have imagined," Zara commented. "The integration of alien tech into our systems is revolutionizing everything from our defenses to our agricultural capabilities." In the research center, Amelia stood before a holographic display, explaining the latest breakthrough to an attentive audience. "By combining the Void Marauders' energy modulation techniques with our terraforming technology, we've developed a way to create localized atmospheric bubbles. This will allow us to expand our habitable areas exponentially." Nearby, Dmitri Volkov worked alongside a former Void Marauder engineer, their differences set aside in pursuit of technological advancement. They were refining the design of a new hybrid power core, one that combined the best aspects of human ingenuity and alien efficiency. "The power output is off the charts," Dmitri exclaimed, his cybernetic arm interfacing directly with the prototype. "With this, we could power the entire colony and still have energy to spare for expansion." In another part of the colony, Alex Chen had taken on the role of Chief Communications Officer. She had set up a complex network that integrated human, Aethery, and repurposed Void Marauder systems. Her efforts had not only improved the colony's defenses, but had also established Hope's Landing as a hub for interstellar communication. "We're picking up signals from further out than ever before," Alex reported excitedly during a briefing. "There are other civilizations out there, and they're starting to notice us." The integration of the captured alien technology wasn't without its challenges. Some colonists were wary of relying too heavily on the very tools that had nearly destroyed them. Others feared that the rapid advancements might attract unwanted attention from other spacefaring races. Zara addressed these concerns head-on in a colony-wide address. "I understand your fears," she said, her voice broadcast across Hope's Landing. "But we cannot let fear dictate our future. The technology we've gained isn't just a spoil of war, it's a responsibility. We have the opportunity to use it wisely, to become a beacon of progress and cooperation in this sector of space." As the weeks turned into months, the true impact of the alien technology began to manifest. The colony's defensive capabilities were enhanced beyond anything they had previously imagined. Shield generators, based on Void Marauder designs, but improved by human innovation, now protected the entire settlement from both cosmic radiation and potential threats. The agricultural sector saw a boom thanks to the integration of Aethery botanical knowledge and Void Marauder atmospheric control technology. Crops that once struggled in Novaterra's alien soil now thrived, ensuring food security for the growing population. Perhaps most significantly, the medical field experienced a revolution. The combination of Dr. Lyra Mbicky's expertise, Aethery healing techniques, and the advanced biomechanical knowledge of the Void Marauders led to breakthroughs in treating injuries and diseases that had once been considered incurable. As Hope's Landing flourished, it began to attract attention from across the galaxy. Delegations from various alien races arrived, curious about the colony that had defeated the dreaded Void Marauders and was now pioneering new forms of interspecies cooperation. One evening, as Zara watched a group of human children playing with young Ethery in a newly constructed park, she felt a profound sense of accomplishment tinged with the weight of responsibility. "We've come so far," she mused to herself, "but our journey is just beginning." The integration of alien technology and knowledge had propelled Hope's Landing from a frontier outpost to a shining example of what humanity could achieve among the stars. As news of their achievements spread across the galaxy, Zara knew that the eyes of countless worlds were upon them. The battle for survival had been won, but the challenge of leading humanity into a new era of interstellar cooperation was just beginning. With their newfound knowledge and allies, the people of Hope's Landing stood ready to face whatever the vast expanse of space might throw at them next. As Novaterra's twin suns set on another day of progress and discovery, Zara Voss looked to the stars with a mixture of pride and anticipation. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear: humanity had claimed its place among the stars, and Hope's Landing would lead the way into a bold new frontier. In the months following the defeat of the Void Marauders, Hope's Landing underwent a remarkable transformation. What had once been a vulnerable frontier outpost now stood as a beacon of human resilience and interspecies cooperation. The colony's reputation spread rapidly across known space, its story becoming something of a galactic legend. Commander Zara Voss stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed Starwatch Tower, gazing out at the bustling metropolis that Hope's Landing had become. The skyline was a testament to the fusion of human ingenuity and alien technology. Sleek buildings with Ethery-inspired architecture stood alongside repurposed Void Marauder structures, all protected by an energy shield that shimmered faintly in the light of Novaterra's twin suns. "Quite a view, isn't it?" Marcus Blackwood remarked, joining her at the railing. "Hard to believe this is the same place we were fighting for our lives in not too long ago." Zara nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. "It's more than just a view, Marcus. It's a statement to the entire galaxy." Indeed, Hope's Landing had become far more than just a colony. It was now a symbol, a warning to any who might consider humanity an easy target, and a beacon of hope for cooperation between different species. The colony's defenses, once cobbled together from terraforming equipment and desperate innovation, were now state-of-the-art. A network of satellites, designed by Alex Chen and powered by Void Marauder technology, provided an early warning system that could detect incoming ships from light years away. On the ground, weapon emplacements that combined human targeting systems with Ethery energy technology stood ready to repel any threat. But it wasn't just the military might that made Hope's Landing formidable. The colony had become a hub of scientific and technological advancement. Dr. Amelia Chen's Xenotechnology Research Center had made breakthroughs that were revolutionizing fields from medicine to space travel. Researchers and scientists from across the galaxy clamored for the opportunity to work there. "Commander," Alex's voice came through the calm system, "we've got another diplomatic delegation requesting permission to land. This time it's the Zarkonian Collective." Zara exchanged a knowing look with Marcus. The Zarkonians were a powerful and traditionally isolationist species. Their interest in Hope's Landing was a clear sign of the colony's growing influence. "Grant them clearance, Alex," Zara replied. "And notify Dr. Chen and Ambassador Zalvira. We'll want them at the welcoming ceremony." As they made their way to the spaceport to greet the new arrivals, Zara and Marcus passed through the bustling streets of the colony. Humans worked alongside Ethery and even reformed Void Marauders, their former enmities set aside in the pursuit of a shared future. At the diplomatic center, a holographic display showed the latest galactic news. Reports of other colonies adopting Hope's Landing protocols for defense and cooperation were becoming increasingly common. The colony's success had inspired a wave of human expansion and interspecies alliances across the sector. But perhaps the most telling sign of Hope's Landing's new status came from the very species that had once threatened to destroy it. Word had spread through the galactic grapevine that various pirate groups, and would-be conquerors now gave human settlements a wide berth. "Not worth the trouble," was the common refrain. Remember what happened to the Void Marauders. As the Zarkonian ship descended through the atmosphere, escorted by a squadron of hybrid human ethery fighters, Zara felt a swell of pride. Hope's Landing stood not just as a warning, but as a promise, a demonstration of what could be achieved when different species came together in the face of adversity. "You know," Marcus said as they waited for the ship to land, "I overheard some of the younger colonists the other day. They were talking about Hope's Landing like it was invincible." Zara's expression turned serious. "We can't let ourselves fall into that trap, Marcus. We're strong, yes, but not invulnerable. Our true strength lies in our ability to adapt, to learn, to cooperate. That's what we need to remember and pass on to the next generation." As the Zarkonian delegation disembarked, their eyes wide with a mixture of curiosity and thinly veiled awe, Zara stepped forward to greet them. In that moment, she was acutely aware that she represented not just Hope's Landing, but humanity's place in the galactic community. "Welcome to Hope's Landing," she said, her voice carrying the weight of their shared history and the promise of the future. "We have much to discuss and even more to learn from each other." As negotiations with the Zarkonians began, news of their arrival spread quickly through the colony and beyond. To many across the galaxy, it was yet another sign that Hope's Landing, and by extension, humanity, had become a force to be reckoned with. The colony that had once been on the brink of annihilation now stood as a shining example of resilience, innovation, and the power of unity in the face of overwhelming odds. It was a lesson the galaxy would not soon forget, and a legacy that would shape human expansion among the stars for generations to come. As night fell on Novaterra, the lights of Hope's Landing shone brightly, a beacon of hope and a warning to any who might threaten the hard-won peace. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear: humanity had claimed its place among the stars, and Hope's Landing would lead the way into whatever challenges lay ahead. As the negotiations with the Zarkonians concluded successfully, Commander Zara Voss found herself once again on the observation deck of the Starwatch Tower. The twin suns of Novaterra were setting, painting the sky in a breathtaking array of purples and golds. Below, the lights of Hope's Landing began to twinkle to life, a testament to the vibrant community that had risen from the ashes of conflict. Zara's core team joined her, each of them having played a crucial role in the colony's journey from survival to triumph. Marcus Blackwood, Dr. Amelia Chen, Dmitri Volkov, and Alex Chen stood beside her, their faces reflecting the same mix of pride and wonder that Zara felt. "You know," Amelia said, breaking the comfortable silence, "I never imagined when I signed up for this colony that we'd end up changing the course of galactic history." Dmitri chuckled, his cybernetic arm whirring softly as he gestured towards the bustling city below. "Who would have thought that our little terraforming outpost would become the crossroads of the galaxy?" Alex, the youngest of the group, but no less integral to their success, smiled broadly. "And to think, it all started because we refused to give up, even when all hope seemed lost." Marcus nodded, his usually stern features softened by the moment. "We've come a long way from those first desperate days of the invasion. Hope's Landing has lived up to its name in ways we never could have imagined." Zara listened to her friends, her heart swelling with emotion. She thought back to the darkest moments of their struggle, the initial invasion, the years of guerrilla resistance, the final desperate battle, and marveled at how far they had come. "You're right," she said, turning to face her team. "We've achieved something remarkable here. But it's not just about the technology we've developed or the alliances we've forged. It's about the spirit of humanity that we've proven, our resilience, our creativity, our capacity for growth and cooperation." She paused, looking each of them in the eye. "We've shown the galaxy that humanity is ready to take its place among the stars. Not as conquerors, not as victims, but as partners and innovators. We've turned enemies into allies, challenges into opportunities. That's the true legacy of Hope's Landing." As if on cue, a bright streak of light cut across the darkening sky, a ship taking off, bound for some distant star system. It was soon followed by another, and another. Hope's Landing had become a launch pad for humanity's dreams, a starting point for countless new adventures and discoveries. "So," Zara said, a smile playing on her lips, "what do you say we make? Where do we go from here?" The question hung in the air, filled with possibility. They had defended their home, rebuilt it, and transformed it into something greater than they had ever imagined. But the story of Hope's Landing and of humanity's journey among the stars was far from over. As they stood there, this small group of humans who had changed the course of galactic history, a shared understanding passed between them. Whatever challenges the future might hold, they would face them together. They had proven that hope, combined with determination and unity, could overcome any obstacle. The last rays of Novaterra's suns dipped below the horizon, and the stars began to emerge, countless points of light, each representing a potential new adventure, a new discovery, a new home. Zara and her team gazed up at them, their hearts full of pride for what they had accomplished and excitement for what was yet to come. In that moment, as night fell on Hope's Landing, the colony stood as a shining beacon, a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity and a promise of a brighter future for all species across the galaxy. The aliens who had once sought to conquer them now looked to them for leadership and inspiration. The humans who had once been on the brink of annihilation now stood at the forefront of a new era of galactic cooperation. As Zara looked out at the city below and the stars above, she knew that this was not the end of their story, but rather the beginning of a grand new chapter. Hope had landed, taken root, and blossomed into something beautiful and enduring. And from this hope, the future of humanity among the stars would continue to grow, boundless and bright. The story of Hope's Landing, of human resilience, ingenuity, and the power of unity in the face of overwhelming odds would be told and retold across the galaxy for generations to come. It would inspire countless others to reach for the stars, to overcome their differences, and to build a future where the best of every species could shine. And it all began with a small colony on a distant world, a group of determined survivors, and the unshakable belief that even in the darkest of times, hope would always find a way to land.